Good evening, gents. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's GKP Live. Thank you very much for joining us, and welcome back, Daz.
Yes, I'm back.
Good to see you, mate. Hope you're well.
Yeah. I'm not too cracky, am I, Gaz?
Not too cracky. No, you're fine. Sound-wise, no, you sound perfect, mate. Sound all right. Just let's go for a mic test. Testing. 1, 2.
Testing.
Nope, never got it. Never got the old in the background. Have you got yourself a new device?
No, I'm just cured. This is new medication I'm on.
I was meaning the phone. I was meaning the mic, not you. You feeling better, mate?
I am. A lot better, thanks.
Good, man.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to hear. How you doing, Crafty? You had a good week?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad.
Busy?
Yeah,
You're still at work, so you've been pretty busy.
Yeah, well, the camera's up there, but my screen's down there, so you're going to see a lot of the top of my head today.
just pen some eyes on the top of your head, Crafty.
Yeah. Well, then like that.
That's it. Just draw some permanent marker, draw some eyeballs. You're right. Everybody will think you're paying attention all night. Just going to touch on this because this just proper made me laugh. Where is it? Where's Dave's comment? Dave just said, tried that tea, Vicky. It tasted awful. You replied back with him, Dave, you're not meant to drink it. It's just to put in your fish tanks. I knew exactly what we were on about as soon as I read it. And then when she replied back, oh my God. Dave does give we do have a bit of a good giggle with him over there as well. Nice to see you, Daz. To see you, nice.
Nice to be back.
Actually,
I've missed it.
Nice to see you, Daz. He did say to see you, nice. I did read it right. I'll have a quick check through on them. We got Mark that's jumped in with us, and Roof has jumped in with us saying evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us, Mrs. Hawker. Mark Childs, good evening, Gaz, Daz, Crafty, and everyone.
Evening.
Evening. Rob Foxy Fox, or Foxy, says, good to see you back, Daz. And it is, mate.
Thanks.
It is.
Yeah.
Have you chopped through all your logs? Or have you still got some more to go?
I'm only halfway through, Gaz. It's made about 4 ton of logs.
That's 4 rows wide. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm talking like you guys know. I haven't put it out yet. Well, little video to come with some updates and information of new stuff to come down at the DKF. I just basically told you what, but damn it. I thought that I was just thinking I forgot we were only us that watched it. We watched them through last night, but the little picture that you sent, the little video that you sent us through today, you got 4 rows deep.
Yeah.
And that's from only half the logs that we've chopped, half the trees that we chopped down, just the main trunk.
Trunks, that is, yeah.
God damn.
It's going to make a lot of logs.
Yeah. All to be burnt and used to the best of your abilities, isn't it?
Yes.
See what happens when it comes.
Yeah.
You did a perfect little dangler.
Excuse me.
Perfect little carrot dangled.
Yes.
We'll put it that way.
Yes.
Seska says, nice one, Daz.
Thank you.
Evening, guys. Welcome back, Daz.
Thanks.
Daz doesn't look so tired today. That's because he's spent 5 weeks asleep.
That's all I needed, just to catch up on my sleep.
Yeah, that's all it was. Just
Evening, Rick.
This man's a legend, by the way.
Good to see you, Rick.
A legend.
Legend.
Why is he dead?
Could be.
He was good as in, mate, anyone that can stand in a pond of water that was as cold as that today, man. Your balls must have been up by your throat, mate. That's all I can say.
Was it that
I
deep?
wasn't well hung.
Did you not get off and put them back, Rick?
all back like a walnut.
It was chilly.
And it was this were only last weekend. I thought when I was putting that new netting on the mini pond to stop it. Oh, right. I'll finish off what I was saying, then we'll go back to it. When we went to putting on the new netting, I put my arm in up to me, like kind of at my armpit, getting, checking to make sure how many stuff the attacker predator got. And my arm was tingling like pins and needles in my arm after just a couple of minutes of cleaning window. How much cold comes through the waders, Rick? A lot.
There are a lot of them, yeah.
Especially if it's got an hole in.
Yeah, yeah, that was sapping is the best word for it.
I watched the other one the other day when you and Vince actually set to start. You were draining down that pond, the only one that's got a net over it that you can't get a net into net off. How is it? You know, with the silt that were up to your knee, can you spread your weight by standing on like a scaffold plank, or would the plank still sink? Is it that squidgy?
The plank is still sink, but yeah, you can sort of put stuff down to get across.
Snowshoes.
You can't get it out again. That's the problem. You've got a plank. So we did it before in some of the others where you put bits of plywood from the edge towards the standpipe.
Yeah. So you got like a walk.
So you got like a walkway. In the lake, there's pallets in the lake where to get from one bit to another where the silt's too deep for the waders. So you put pallets in and they sink in the silt. But obviously that means you're higher in the silt. But those pallets sit in that silt 20 years. They don't do anything. They just
they don't break down.
So we get preserved in a sense, probably if they're underneath there.
Well, it's like peat bogs, isn't it? How the things get preserved in those.
There's no oxygen in there. Not when it's down.
Anaerobic. Yeah.
But it's a pain because when you put them in, if you don't remember where they are, if you're going across a different bit, you walk straight into them and they'll hit you across the kneecaps or wherever.
And good call, but I gotta put yo cupcakes and great to see you back, Daz, bruv. Vince, you're harsh, mate, and Rick. I mean, the first thing I don't know what you're laughing at. You're getting waders on. send the oldest man knee deep, stuck in silt, freezing cold, hypothermic in 15-20 minutes. It did make me giggle when you said it, but I thought you're rotten shit, man. You're gonna make Dave go in there. Best man in.
Dave never went in either.
No. He did say no chance. I'd never get back out again. I thought you're rotten shite, man. First thing out your mouth, get in there, Daz. I mean, get yourself in there. Crazy for Koi and Goldfish said hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us, mate. George, nice fish, mate. Them that you've had banged in your new pond from this gentleman down here. Was it a knee side, the Kahaku?
No, well, small sands, I'd be
Small
if you're
sands.
being proper on age, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they would have been quite cold when they arrived. It went cold that night.
They look bang on, didn't they? They look absolutely cock on.
Yeah,
All done really well.
Yeah, beautiful fish. But hopefully they did good for you.
Gaz, you know your mini pond. Can you clean the window with like sugar soap or anything? You know how you clean the lens on a car headlight? Could you do anything like that on your mini pond so you can see through the window because it's kind of
On mine?
non-visible? Yeah.
That was green slime, Daz. That's why I had my hand in the pond to clean it. Because
Does it actually come clear then?
it comes crystal clear. Yeah, you can see
right.
straight through it. It was just thick with green algae all over it all. It needed a good clean. That's why I thought if I'm going to, just slimed over top of it. Only the thin green film, not like big amounts of it. But yeah, they come with a special little cleaning cloth, which is basically just a finer Scotch Brite. So all I've done is used an old Scotch Brite, a green, those pan scrubber things on the green ones, softened it right up and used an old one, give it a good wash machine. I'll just use that now. And it doesn't scratch it at all. So they do come good. But they do come crystal clear. That I actually, touching on that now, I can go back to it. I actually thought about, is this a good idea? Cleaning these windows up because everything that's there on the outside can see what's inside. And I found out what it was. It is most definitely 100% the heron back again. Footprints all through my garden. It snowed here. Well, it snowed again today. This evening on the way home, and yesterday, the day before, we had a full covering. We got about 4 inches of snow in garden.
Lost it.
I had the dog out at about 11:30 before I went to bed on that night, and there was nothing. And when I got up in the morning, first thing, there was nothing. Let the dog out, let him have a quick pop out to the loo before I went to work. And then when my wife went to go to work, she had a look outside, nothing at all. When we came back home, there's footprints all the way down the garden, all on the stone where I've always said I like stand on that stone to, get fish to come to when I was feeding them.
Yeah.
So big ones on there where all the fish gather up at the far end by the tree. Footprints all the way around the edge, all the way down the side, and then up and down the garden, and then all the way right through and up onto my top step right outside my back door. And then 2 or 3 steps going down the steps towards the side of the mini pond. So it is 100% the heron. But having the new netting back on, it hasn't got any of the little koi that were in there or the axolotls. So it's not come back with anything else or got anything else as of yet. So I've closed it off enough to make it more difficult for it to be able to get in there.
I bet it comes every day, Gaz. I bet it's like a milk round. It has a look. Is it? Which houses am I on today? And it does the rounds. 10 minutes apparently, one.
Once they log an area, they never forget it, and it's always a source that they'll go back to. And this time of year for herons, it's they feed like crazy, don't they? So they can bulk up and put some mass on to get them through harder winter months where everywhere's frozen over because it's more difficult for them to get out then.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is in the wild this time of year, you've got all the year's sort of 3 to 4 inch roach that have from this year's spawning, so it's like a harvest for them, isn't it?
Yeah. So apparently they hit it hard at this time of year to feed up and get bulked up a little bit. So,
yeah, buggers all the time, aren't they?
Yeah. God bless them.
Always an excuse, eh? Simon says there, Gaz, you can get a plug-in sound deterrent. Does it sound like a shotgun? Boom! That's what I'm going to do with. Well, one that actually sound and projectiles would be even better. But yes, I know we're not allowed to do any of that. I'm just... To be fair, I mean, business-wise for it, I can see it really affecting you. For us, for you, that's a business plus. Because if it eats our fish and for craft it, we have to come buy new ones. But at the end of the day, if you bring nature into your garden, you can't really be too pissed at nature for taking advantage of it. One of them things.
No, you fucking can.
Well, you can, but at the end of the day, you're inviting them there, aren't you? It's like I've got no problem at all in birds coming and having a drink out of a pond and doing all that kind of stuff. But obviously, it's a bit of a bastard when you get up and all your fish have been eaten. But at the end of the day, if they weren't there and they were in a natural greener pond water, they probably wouldn't be seen as either. So I suppose it's one of them things, isn't it? But definitely the heron. Cheap. Well,
different for everyone, isn't it? People would be well happy to see an otter in their garden, wouldn't they?
Well, you say that, mate. We are round here. Otters are a twat. They
I know.
Really decimate people's, like, take their whole pond, man.
Yeah.
And if, like everybody, the amount of koi money that, if people actually realise how much money they spend on their fish, it's not just a £50 purchase once. It's generally 4 or 5 times in a season, or £1,000, £2,000. You know, and you do that 3 or 4 seasons in a row. A hell of a lot of money that they come and eat. You know, so whether you're a business or a smallholder, with being a hobbyist in a garden pond, it's still a huge amount of money to loss and replace, you know, a huge amount, you know, and you put all the cost of your pond, running your pond, as well on top as feeding, right? That cost just gets bigger and bigger. So actually, it's a huge amount of money that you lose whether you're in business or it's just a garden pond, you know?
The kicker is as well, otters are one of those animals that just kill for the sake of it. They'll kill every single fish in your pond, lay them out on the side, and then bugger off, not even eat them.
Like sometimes they eat the brains, though, don't they? That's the thing that they normally go for is the intestine. That they've got more protein in that than the actual fish. Yeah, fillets, so to speak. Have you seen this crafty? It looks deep in thought.
Oh, mate, you don't want to see what I'm looking at, mate. I'm looking at wiggly graphs of stuff that we've bought and sold. And
Jody Coy Dave says, me and the wife have been talking and we're sorting out to come and see you in June to get our first koi for the pond. Are you guys doing the BKKS in Coventry? I'm guessing that's going to be you, Crafty, is
Yeah,
very
100% Geordie, Coy Dave. Yeah. I see you've added me on Facebook as well. So yeah, 100%.
We should see you there then, mate.
100%. And we'll be showing as well.
100%.
110%. Unless Putin decides to drop a bomb on us, and then no one will be there.
Don't.
Have a read of that one, Vince. Evening, everyone. Rick's hardcore, Dave's a legend, and Vince, meow.
Sally, look what I got today.
Ooh.
Dragon
soup.
Ooh.
I've got Pepsi.
Oh,
I've got Carlin's,
I've got
but it's
Pepsi
not
too.
Carlin's.
choice of the nation.
Mine's Pepsi too, to be fair.
3 on Pepsi. You never had a dragon
Pepsi.
soup?
I've never tried a dragon soup. Is it good? Is it as good as a hobgoblin?
It is a caffeine,
hobgoblin,
taurine, guarine,
Does it
alcoholic beverage.
Ooh.
does it work? Well, we'll find out later if it works.
Yeah, when it falls off his chair.
I needed a little pick me up after work, so
Why not? Use a
Mine is working out later
telescopic
on.
tile cleaner for the windows. You don't have to get your hands wet. Yeah, I suppose there is that, mate. But I was actually wanting to move stuff around and check to make sure that it actually did kill one other fish as well. But it daft nipped its tail clean off.
Wow.
So, but it was only a little fish, like, but
Right.
it got it and it got away, and obviously died with injuries. Guys, if you're interested, or if you have any questions that you would like any of us to discuss this evening, if you could do the usual thing and just type them out there as we have here. If you have any questions, please put them in capital letters so they stand out in the chat. Thank you very much, Vic. Appreciate it. It just makes it a little bit easier for me to see them. We haven't got any topics to speak about this evening, but we do have one topic to speak about, which is the 24-hour live. Now, we've got, at the moment, with 118 people watching, so I would like some feedback, guys. What we were thinking about doing is postponing it a little. And the reason for that is we were going to do it in December on the run up to Christmas. And December's already expensive enough as it is. So without making it more of an expense for people to help, or give a donation towards the charity, we thought that if we went for maybe January or February and we could go to the beginning of the toe-size season, and then that way then we might have a little bit more of things that'll be on offer and stuff that we could put up for auction, etc., etc. Beginning of the toe-size season might make a bit more of a better time, better, ideally suited. A lot of people have got works, evening do's out, family meals out, and what have you. And then there's obviously the expense of Christmas, the big family gathering and everything. I think with us doing something on the run up to it, it's already laying a lot of spondooli payments and outgoings and laying out or layouts as it is. So we think if you guys are cool with that, we'll still be using the same funds that I've gone through. If anybody's interested about putting any more in or wants to make any more, just let me know and I will put the thing back up again and you can fire away with any donations that you want to put in by the goal. But remember this, we will be putting up and getting a registered charity again for a donations thing, and that will be going on the website. I will put that up within the upcoming weeks once we've got we're going to do it for Alzheimer's charity, but I need to make sure that we get a proper thing set up, ready to go, so it can all be done and taken care of properly, so that people can make a donation and it'll be recorded and registering each donation that people make. Just thought it'd be a nice way to put something back in to the community, giving a few gifts and some giveaways and such like, and then having us with a 24-hour live where we can raise some money for a cause that seems to be hitting a lot of families of late. Good evening, Matt.
First of March. Oh, evening, Matt.
We could do, yeah, whichever, whenever.
First
But
of March.
postponing it, if nobody's got a problem with that, I think it'd be a better thing to do. We can postpone it and put it off just for a little bit, and that way then we've got
We've got over the Christmas. Yeah, expand.
over the Christmas
New Year. Yeah.
the expensive time of year for everybody.
Yeah, we could do. I think 1st of March, somewhere there. That's a weekend, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're all back from Japan.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll have the new stock. But my
1st of March. 1st of March is actually a Saturday.
they're not through quarantine.
We won't be moving them then anyway, will we? Really? We can sell them.
I was looking for. Personally, it would have been nice to be able to bowl at the Kozai, have a bit of fish appreciation, etc. And I know Al Tate, speaking to Al Tate, he'd be quite keen to come down and do some little talks on stuff as well as part of the live.
20 minutes in every hour, 24 talks, 24 varieties.
I'm sure
we only have to do 40 minutes ourselves.
I'm sure we'll be able to sort some out. But yeah.
We've got to have that way we could also, if we did it, what we were thinking about doing is doing it down at Perfect Aquatics, because obviously they've got all the different varieties of fish there that we can do talks about, chats about. We can grab stuff off at shelf as random, because Pete says, Gaz, you can help yourself to whatever you want. Top man Pete. And we can rang that up for a bit of a raffle. My ass sees me. But we could also have a bit, there is, we could have a bit of the old competition pitch and putt against each other as well. Have a midnight session on the old golf carts. All sorts of stuff that we can do and make it a bit more interactive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pond bombs and all sorts. I knew that was coming. Let's have a quick look at this then. Also, cold weather makes fish go deeper so that they lose their normal source of food. Yes, exactly that, Phil. Then he's put 14 fish down to 3 this year. What's happened there, mate? Well, what is that with herring attacks as well? I hope not, mate, because, I'm on my... That's 14 that I've lost this year now. Which is a bit shy, but... There's a plus side to it. Every cloud has a silver lining in a sense, because the fish that I've replaced them with are... better fish, but that still doesn't mean I'm not peed about the one. Actually, no, that's a lie about 2 of them. 3 of them I really did like a lot, which was the key, Misiogon and the key Misiogon.
Yeah.
I really like both of them. That was from Crafty. How are you doing then, Matt? You good? That good.
One day from hell. Literally.
One day.
Just one day. Go for it. Spill your guts. Use this as like counselling time.
Started last night after us ordering the new polytunnel for new tanks, to find out that potentially I'm not going to get it, although I've paid for it. Potentially he's gone in the receivership, blah, blah, blah. And
Who's that, Matt?
I can't say, not allowed to. I will do offline, but it's not fair at the moment because
I will see when no one's listening.
it may come trumps, but I got a nasty feeling it won't. Then got up this morning to what was supposed to be a light flurry of sleet. Turned out we had 3 inches of snow.
Oh, yeah, that means you'll be screwed down your way. Then 3 inches of snow, innit? That's it. Welcome to
End of the world.
Standstill. BMW stuck everywhere.
Then walked down to the main pond, only to discover that I dropped 18, 20 inches of water overnight.
Freezing and spraying out.
No, one of the rubber connectors on the back feeding the backy shower had decided after 3 years of being in place just to pop off.
You know why?
Cold.
Temperatures.
Well, as your pipes get colder, they shrink. And as they shrink, they pop off. That's why it's always, and actually we might as well touch on it, because if anybody has got rubber boots out there on the ponds, on the systems that they're running now, make sure you go out there and give them a quick nip up with a little ratchet set and a 6mm socket, if that's what you've got, or the 8mm. Little nip them up, guys, because as your pipes get colder, they shrink back a little bit, and with the pressure of your water blasting through them, it's sometimes enough just to get a little leak.
Wow.
Sometimes it's worse than that, though, mate, because there's other people that have had it in past, and all the fish have been, it's completely drained the whole system down.
Well, it's been on since 11 hours running, and it's still only halfway back up. So it's going to take
God, that's a lot of water.
a while. Then after that, came up to the house only to find the aquarium filters all not working. One of them was making a click, 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 click noise. Took all of it apart, cleaned it all out, still doing exactly the same. The other one that's underneath, took him apart, totally non-responsive, nothing at all from that. Thought, right, so I put it all back together. I was about to scream. I thought, right, go down and check on the fish, see how the pond's filling up, only to find all 14 EA pumps, all on error 4. Every single drum, when you press the manual button to turn on the wash pump and get the drum to rotate, nothing would happen. Every single air pump was working on all the ponds.
Yeah.
Changed the sockets over so that I had the air pumps going into the socket where all the EA pumps were working. Still made no difference. And basically what it turned out to be was Southern Electric had dropped a load of voltage, and I was running at half voltage on the whole place. Why the EA air pumps would work but the water pumps wouldn't, it was beyond me. So then I was just about to phone up the wife about an hour later to say I can't do the hoovering because it doesn't work. And
Power come on.
As I phoned her, everything came back into life, including aquarium bloody filters. So if you get an error 4, it doesn't mean necessarily that the pump's knackered. It could be that you've got the voltage.
So you had an outage from somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but something to do
No,
with
But
that.
you are backing up though, Matt. So look at the positives. I told you every cloud has a silver lining, didn't I?
Yeah. Since then, so this is
You've been
another
backing up.
interesting bit. 3 of the pumps now, every time I turn the power back on, trips out the LCD.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Is it just those 3 or one of those 3? Have you managed to isolate which ones is doing
No,
what?
it's consistently those 3. So if I run all the other pumps, they're all perfectly fine. If I swap the pumps over and put them on extensively going over to one of the other sockets, it takes out the RCD on those as well. So it's definitely those 3 pumps. But I can't work out why running at low voltage would knacker a pump. High voltage, yeah.
There you go.
So, yeah, I kind of wish I didn't ask. That sounds like you've had a shit day, mate.
Well,
If
days like this, you wish you had somebody to say, go and sort that out. But nah, just me.
This is we go all year, don't we, thinking, I hope nothing happens, I hope this doesn't happen, I hope that doesn't happen. And then you think, winter months. We were talking about this this afternoon, or this morning, saying like, when it comes to winter, you think everything should just reduce
Wind
this,
down.
reduce that, wind it down, and it's when the shit starts to hit the fan. And normally, when something goes wrong, it's right when you're going to get hypothermia if you've got to get in there to do well.
Yeah,
The
but when
last
you
thing
think
you
about
want.
it, Gaz, it's like a car, isn't it? As soon as you get real cold weather, everything just knackers up on your vehicle.
Yeah.
It's the same with everything else. So anything electrical, bloody technical, is going to crash on you, isn't it?
It's always going to bite you in balls when you really don't want it to.
Yeah.
So, we'd like to cheer you up for the rest of the evening now, Matt. And we shall put the behind you and take the best foot forward. How about
Yes, things only get better, surely.
Exactly.
I know,
Nothing died.
yeah, that's the main thing, isn't it? You didn't lose no stock. You lost a lot of water and lost a lot of air, probably with all the stress of it.
But
But you didn't.
the iconic thing is the 3 pumps that aren't working are on 3 ponds that got no fishing because I've shut them down for the winter. In effect, I'm moving fish around and emptied them out, and that's the pumps that have gone down. So somebody is looking down on me somewhere.
Yes.
well, I mean, some people might say the better thing to do was to shut them systems off. Then
Yeah.
you wouldn't. It might not have happened, but hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? We go through it all. One of them things, mate, innit?
Definitely.
All we can do is sit here and think, thank God it wasn't us. Sorry.
Bigger behind the scenes.
Well, it's shit to happen, innit? But we all sit there and think, thank God that wasn't me that had to do with that. God, I hope we all wish that we don't have to go through that kind of thing. But year in, year out, there's always somebody within the community that ends up having a major disaster, isn't there? There's always some pond that pumps itself dry or completely empty. Yeah. There's always something that happens.
We sent out 5 box liners on Tuesday, and every single one of them yesterday, the underlay turned up, but the liner didn't, or the liner turned up and the underlay didn't, or in Vince's case, nothing turned up. And it's like, I can understand it. Even with one that was coming here, I had 3 coming into this place, and even with those, only one of them turned up. And you think, well, hang on a moment, we got the snow. I understand that. You wouldn't get down our track. It's so deep out there at the moment. But it's not where all the deliveries were all over the whole of the UK. So God knows what's happened with them. But it's weird how it crumbles.
Yeah.
Busy, isn't it? That's the trouble, isn't it?
Yeah, this time of year now is exceptionally busy.
Yeah.
The parcels, deliveries, people buying stuff off online for postage, getting it all out. And I've been there and done it for a temporary period and worked within the mail delivery companies. And my God, man, at this time of year, you are literally running around like a freaking headless chicken.
Yeah, so I thought you only worked on Christmas Eve doing deliveries.
Me? What are you trying to say? You're trying to say I've got a
You're being
resemblance?
good Father Christmas.
He's allergic to
Father
salt.
Christmas.
Can't do it
I
anymore.
wish, mate. I don't like mince pies. I couldn't do his job. They're horrible.
Crafty's halfway there, no?
Got the beard.
Dave wants to fuck her off.
Yeah.
And Nick, check this out. Look.
Oh.
Oh,
Should we explain?
Itself.
God,
Man, that's-
go on.
I'm-
I'll let you explain it. We're funny.
it was right. It's proof it's not bullshit, right? Doing my own hair, and I was feeling, I was like, where your crown is, I can never get that bit like level. So I said to my missus, I said, do us a favour, darling, just put a blade on that for us. So she literally went. But she didn't even say anything, mate. She like crept off. And I was like, hang on a minute.
This is in front of everybody whilst we're in Discord.
Liar. I was going to shave it all, but you couldn't be asked, to be honest.
what you want to do, Crafty, is get a biro and put some lines across it and make it look like a barcode.
I don't even know what it looks like, mate, to be honest.
I'll tell you, it's about 2 inches wide, about 6 inches long, and it looks like you're down at number 1 there and then number 3 everywhere else. Like, have that.
I weren't
Are we
asked,
gonna-
to be honest.
We did have a good chat with her as well, didn't we? And I called her over to camera. I said, now then, and she would come over with a smile on her face. I thought, there you go. That's got to be deliberate. I get him. That's for not having to what I made him feel on live.
Sabotage.
Kelly says, evening, Matt. Where's Gaz tonight? He's here. No, he's massive, isn't he? Sent me a picture of him over there.
Yeah, he has got massive. Unfortunately, as he's got massive, his shits have got massive and they stink. So he's out in the garden. But he's still spending his every first one over. He's got his 2 little buddies that he hangs around with. His proper mum and dad beat him up if he goes anywhere near them. But he's all right. He's good.
So is he going on the barbecue or not?
Nah.
So bugger, man. No.
It's all gamekeeper eye. We can't shoot that one. He's called Gaz.
Yeah,
Can't use that one.
It's got too many fans now to be
Oh,
shooting
so
it.
yeah, I have got some Harry Coy mugs now that have got the Gaz on the side of it, the duck.
fucking heard it all now.
You come
Mark
back and
says
hold
there.
it anyway.
Oh yeah, but we'll just go through. You can. Johnny Coy Dave says you can get bird scarers, Gaz. Yeah, I know. I never had a problem at all. Well, I did have my two staffies, which is Mark said there. Invest in two staffies, good deterrents to everything. They are, mate, 100%. But me and our lass were absolutely fed up of listening to dogs snore, and them two snored like hell, didn't they? Our JD was so bad it were unreal. She used to. You could go to bed on the night, and you'd get 5-10 minutes, you'd be in bed, and then all of a sudden. Like, God damn, man. The dog literally just got in bed. You just stamp on floor. She'd stop for about 6-7 minutes, and then it'd kick in again. She used to rattle floorboards, man. She was proper bad for it. So we got a cock instead. And a cockapoo. We got that little halflet instead now. But he's very aggressive towards birds in the garden. I'm yet to allow him to meet the heron, because every time he comes, we're in bed. So hopefully, fingers crossed, one of these days I get to chase him out. He might think twice about coming back.
You need a dog flapping the door, Gaz, so as soon as he sees it, he can...
There is one. There's a cat flapping the door, which the dog already wangs his head through, which is pretty comical when he does it. But he sticks his head through, and he'll start barking at stuff in garden that's not there. He barks at his own shadow. I stood up here in the window overnight. He was barking like hell at me in the living room. I think, what are you barking at me? I live here.
Yeah.
Vince says, look at the ginger pond keeper's ponds. Otters smashed the shit out of his pond.
Yeah.
They
Killed every fish.
Everything, didn't they? Killed a whole lot. Apart from the rudd, but they did eat some of the bigger ones.
Yeah.
Let's get down through some of these then. Rick's not singing. Come on, Ricky, it shows your talent.
I only sing live on the farm.
We're after a few crates full of ale.
No, I like singing.
Welsh Dragon.
Welsh Dragons, man. It's a new thing.
Dragon soup is worse than wife beater, Stella. Apparently.
Hang on. I've got both.
It's all right. His missus is a kickboxer, so she'd smash his face in.
She's pretty.
She didn't want kickboxing. What did she used to do? She used to do some form of martial arts, didn't she?
Well, she was trained. She's working in the prison.
She'll be here.
Yeah, she knows all the restraint maneuvers and all that business.
Oh, you lucky man.
She still have a pair of handcuffs.
Mate.
Get in that cell, lad.
Yeah, it'll be our 25th anniversary. When I'm soon somewhere.
Oh,
no,
Ricky.
not old enough.
I hope she didn't ever watch this. It'll be our 25th anniversary.
Sometime.
One day this year.
I forgot our anniversary this year. We did it specifically on the 5th of November, so I wouldn't forget. So no hope.
Yeah. My 30th next year.
What birthday?
I wish.
Is that the same for pressure pipes attached to rubber boots?
Yes,
It's the same for all forms of pipe work, mate. It's one of the most common ways that you get leaks on pipes works is hot and cold contraction.
Yeah.
So just give them a check. It's worthwhile checking, even if you can't tighten anything up. It's worthwhile having a look just to make sure. And everything, to be completely fair, even on your solvent joints, even if you've checked your pond and you come out in the morning, if you've had a heavy frost like we did, pushing down to -4, -5 last night for us here in Huddersfield, if it's dropping that cold, it's worthwhile just having a quick look around to make sure you've got nothing. It only takes 5 minutes to have a quick look. Make sure you've got no puddles or water squirting out anywhere, because the last thing you want is when it starts to thaw out more, then that will turn into a bigger leak. And if you're away at work all day long, the next thing you know, you come back to an empty pond. So, yeah. And if you are pump fed, the best way to do it.
Screwdriver, quite testing.
Yeah, just test. Yeah, just nip them all up. Give them a.
Yeah, nip them.
This is why I said on the rubber on the rubber boot types that have the big Jubilee clip around them. Everybody uses a flat-headed screwdriver. You only get so much leverage on a flat-headed screwdriver. But if you look, they have a hexagon nut on them. They use a 6 or 8 mil socket and give them that little bit of a tweak. Don't overdo it because obviously you'll crack it.
I always use a ratchet driver.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, just a little ratchet driver.
You
use a buzz gun.
Fuck
You
yeah.
buzz them up. Yeah.
You know they're tight then, isn't it?
Yeah, well, true, yeah. True. Gary Miller says, hi, guys. Thanks for joining us, Gary. Another Gary. Wicked. Right then.
Wicked.
Shah's DIY koi pond. I hope I got that right. What's everybody's thoughts on running oxygen in colder months? I run mine 12 on, 12 off. I'm right in saying cold temperatures take oxygen out of the water. No. Incorrect.
The opposite.
The colder the temperature, the more the water holds its oxygen content. The colder water has
dissolved oxygen.
more dissolved oxygen. So the best thing to do, you're doing the oh shit! I never get this fucking bollocks. We spoke about this last week, and I have done it. And Rick, I was surprised at the results, man. Rick spoke about, we've got oxygen on. Cold water holds more oxygen content than warm water. That's why it's best to give them as much as we possibly can in the summer months, because dissolved oxygen levels in the summer are far lower than what we're actually putting in there. So keeping them and giving them as much as we can is a good thing. But on winter, the cold water holds more oxygen, so therefore it's not needed as much. If you've got your return coming back in, which is creating a cascade on your water, first thing is that's going to be oxygenating it. But the second thing is it's also coming out the bottom and being returned at the top, which is taking out the warmer waters from the bottom of your pond and cooling them going back in. When I spoke with Rick last week, we spoke about having the stones on and perhaps raising the air stones up so that you could bring them to the surface to prevent the pond surface from freezing. And he said you could, but you don't really need them now at this time of year. So I switched mine off. Bearing in mind, the night before, all my fish were packed up, literally, not moving anywhere. I switched them off. I got up this morning, went out at about 10 to 7, and my fish, they weren't at the top, but the fish were actively swimming around. Whereas the night prior, before I'd turned the oxygen off, they were all parked up at the bottom end of the pond. And I thought, well, that's got to have made a little bit of a difference because it's just as cold tonight as what it was the night before. And now they're swimming around and moving about you. So I thought maybe it's made a bit of a better climate in there for them than what it was, not chilling it as much.
Very true. Yeah, so, it's double-edged sword. The fish don't use any oxygen, or a lot less. The filters use a lot less, and there's a lot more available in the water. So, yeah, you don't need the oxygen running into the pond, the air running in the pond, or the same amount of turnover or waterfalls or whatever.
You just got to remember to twitch it on when it warms up again.
Like I say, you can raise it up just to keep, if it's going to be freezing, if you want to keep an area unfrozen. But obviously, to do that, you're using warm water from the lower parts of the pond to do that. Yeah. So, it's all as it is, isn't it?
Well, I found mine regardless last year, Rick. They froze over with the air running anyway. They froze regardless. It got to the point that all airlines have a form of water inside them, don't they? It can sometimes, if you switch them off for a period of time, it can back siphon up into the pipework a little bit. But air pumps, generators, oxygenators, whatever you want to class them as, little aerator pumps, they do produce an element of moisture, don't they? And you end up with condensation inside your pipe.
In the air, they bring in.
Mine froze. The pipes froze last year, so my air went off last year. So later than this, I had to switch them off regardless anyway, so it made no difference. But I thought, sod it, I'll switch them off. And come out this morning, the pond wasn't frozen over, and it dropped to -4 last night. So we'll see how it goes. But yes, the fish were actually swimming around this morning, and I thought, oh, damn, yesterday morning, they were all parked up like buses in the station. I thought,
Yeah.
no. Made a bit of a difference. So, yes, having them running for 12 on, 12 off, and those 12 hours that you've got it off, you're actually allowing your fish to keep the warmer climate area at the bottom of the pond. When you're turning it back on again, you're chilling it off by taking that warm air and circulating it to the surface and then cooling your water. So you don't really need them off. You can turn them off.
Yeah.
If you've got
depends on the stock density people
Yes,
have got.
If you've got the water returning them back in, if you've got oxygenation in your filter system, that should be enough to put some in rather than having them all on as we would do.
Okay.
Susan says, sounds like something has a power draw or a GFI plug needs replacing. It happened to me, Matt.
What the hell's the GFI?
Sounds like you need to get a Sparky in, mate.
What's a GFI plug?
Exactly. Sounds like you need to get a Sparky in, mate.
That's
No,
not to stop power surges, is it?
Yeah, no, our house is protected on that. That was one of the things we wanted to do, was make sure that we had power surge protection, because being rural, we get lots of flickering with the lights and all the rest of it.
Yeah, it can
So
back
we've
your
done
computers up, can't it?
Yeah, we've had that done, and also all the ponds are on different RCDs, so you don't get one issue affecting the whole lot.
Yeah.
But for some reason or another, it's done it across the board.
We've had it on the farm before where they shut the power, so you get a much lower, like I say, lower voltage, lower amp, whatever it is. So certain things try and work, some things don't work. Lights run dim. Yeah, can go on. It's just the amount of current or power they're putting through.
Because it was like the kettle. The kettle would come on and show the LED was on, or the power was to it, but it wouldn't actually heat up at all.
Yeah, there's not enough power, is there, for whatever reason. It's starting. I don't know what's starting. So
Susan says I had a heater that was faulty and kept grounding itself to in my in-ground goldfish pond. It was odd. So maybe it's an earthing issue. Worth a look.
I think those EA pumps are a little bit
Not temperamental, sophisticated.
So with the Arase, they're worse. Better consumption, but even more sophisticated.
As mine go now, I'm swapping them over to Superfish.
Yeah, they're solid, mate, to be honest. We use them.
Cheaper, easier.
Easier to replace.
Kelly Nobbs, my daughter thinks Daz looks like Jack Frost.
Yeah, my dad's not you.
It has been cold.
Who's Jack Frost? The Iceman?
Have you seen the film?
Andrew's asked a question for Matt. Can you provide stepped boxed weld liners?
Yeah, definitely. We can do anything. The only thing that has to be done is your levels must be flat and your walls must be vertical. Even a curved. If you had a curved front pond, we can do a curved front pond, but we require a template to make the base.
So, yeah.
Kelly says, I want one, Matt. Don't know what that means.
Gas.
She wants a gas or a gas mug. Maybe a gas mug.
Yeah, it could be.
Or perhaps maybe she wants a Siamese twin like you've got. You've been
that
gone.
could be read so many different ways. I read it completely different.
You've been gone for so months and you've still not got rid of that growth, man. It's still there, look. Still attached to the back of your head.
Oh no.
Matt's double-headed sword.
That's even worse.
Craig Stubb says, I've been a bird scarer all my life.
Oh, sorry.
You could try that though, Gaz. You could make a scarecrow and put it in the corner of the garden. Our local fishing pond with
anything else in that
jackets
garden
on.
other than garden furniture does, I'm going to get my balls chopped off. The next thing that goes in that garden has got to be Marie's garden furniture. Something else will trim and sort round and everything
You like
else.
that, Gaz, didn't you?
Yes, mate. I don't mind admitting it. Behind every great man is an even better woman.
Yes. Keep them happy. Makes
She's out of earshot, it's all right.
Happy life.
I'm saying that just in case she watches it. If she watches it, she'll go, "Oh, bless him." Then when she sees my face, she'll go, "You."
Does your wife actually watch this?
Push this guy. I don't. Daz, come on, man. She don't even go to look at Fishing Garden. Why would she watch me talk and waffle crap about them online?
So the GFI plug, I just Googled it, is equivalent to an RCD plug or socket.
Ah, maybe it's a faulty RCD plug socket then. They do go.
Just seen Kelly flash up saying mug.
Evening, Dave. How you doing? Thanks for joining us, mate. Rick's a lifer. I'd have thought of.
Let's talk about Corey then, or what?
That explains why Rick was so happy earlier. I think it loses its momentum, doesn't it, when I don't get to him until like 15 minutes after they've been sent.
That was about Zoe being in prison there. Yeah. That's how we met.
What, you was in prison?
I escaped. She helped me escape.
You've been on the run ever since. Sally says it's our third in November, so you're a lifer. So if you've done 25 years, we're a lifer. So that means me and you, Rick, were lifers because we just had our 25th this year too. And don't ask me what day it was because I ain't going to lie and tell you I know.
What are they? I get some kind of medal for 30.
Yes, Daz. Yeah, I think when you hit the 30 mark, you actually get a golden watch and a handshake too.
That's it. See you, love.
That's it. Bye.
Retired.
Thanks for doing. Socket is the best for a rubber boot, Vince says. 100%, mate, I agree. I use electrical tape around the pipe, then slide the rubber boot on. Ooh, such a bad idea, mate. Bad idea. He's going to be thinking, why now? Just taking me. I use electrical tape around the pipe, then slide the rubber boot past the tape, and then tighten it with the socket. Then the electrical tape to cover the taped over the boot and pipe. No holes barred, like Hugh Edwards. So you're basically belt and braces. What I would do is I would use a solvent weld one and not use a rubber boot in the first place. And then you don't have to worry about it coming off because it's solvent welded on. And if you needed to make it detachable, put a coupler in. Then you don't have to worry about it. Saving a few quid on a few. That's what the bit that gets me is people go out and spend 22 grand building a pond, then save 4 quid on a rubber boot. Just don't make sense.
I just do it because it's just bloody easy, isn't it? When nothing matches, it's just rubber.
Yeah. But you use bits that you've recycled, upcycled again and again and again and again from one thing to another. When you do a lot of swapping and changing, don't you? So that kind of makes sense. But if it was something like such as that, the rubber boot for ease, you have to replace the rubber boots after 4 or 5 years, especially if they're outside at daylight, because they become perished and they start cracking anyway. So
very true.
Whereas high pressure plastic ones, I think they last pretty much forever and a day, don't they? Even if they do get a bit of bleach into them from the sunlight.
Yeah, and you can reuse them.
Seska says Matt looks like he's in the black and white.
He's just
I
beige.
didn't think that earlier. I was going to say, I thought, no.
It's because it's so cold in his house. He's actually looking a bit more like Jack Frost himself.
Or the light bulbs went as well.
Oh, God, no way. Really?
Yeah.
Your day just got even shitty. You've got, what, 24 bulbs there to replace? That's what happens when you've got a big posh chandelier that you have so many bulbs in. Are they all gone? Everyone?
Yeah. One,
what about one behind
2, 4, 5, 6, 7. There isn't one behind me.
There is.
Turn the light.
I can see it.
Keep that thing on the light switch.
Up your shoulder. Look at that amazing thing there. That light.
Not plugged in.
What's in there?
You got one of those. He's got 2. He's one at either side. Oh no, it's the same one.
Bulb don't work either.
Shit, man. Well, we've got no electric through to the house, it's blown everything. You must have had a power surge then, haven't you? You've got to.
I think you've been connected onto a street light or something, haven't you?
Truth be told, Matt, you're running off your battery on your laptop now, aren't you? You haven't paid your electric bill, have you? That's what it is.
No, it's charging.
It's charging. What if you get a moving bed filter? All the air you need? Not in summer months because your filter's consuming that, whilst it's the oxygen.
What he says. If
you've got a moving bed, that's putting plenty of oxygen back into your water, isn't it? Because your moving bed bacteria.
If it is, then do you turn the air off if I've got a moving bed filter?
No, I would. I'll leave that because it's inside, isn't it? That's under covers, under wraps.
So, what is your view on a moving bed to a static chamber filter? If you've got a chamber filter, I can understand why you're putting oxygen into the pond. But if you've got a moving bed, say a moving bed, or it's on the side of a drum, do you need to actually put water into the pond, distorting the surface of the pond?
Air into the pond.
Yeah. Well, my thoughts are aerobic bacteria requires oxygen, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So when the air's in there gyrating it all up, it's consuming that oxygen. So when it goes to your tank, back to your pond, there's less oxygen in the water.
Depleted, yeah. Should be.
Is it in reality though, when you look at one actually working and you think of it?
100% it does. It uses it.
Oh yeah. It definitely does. I know it does use up that oxygen, but when you think of the speed, like at the moment on mine down now, I've got a tank that's probably 300 litres of water, moving bed, but I'm pumping through it 45,000 litres of water's going through that. You can't tell me that the bacteria in there is grabbing all that oxygen before my pumps have actually sucked it into the pond.
Yeah, not all of it.
Yeah,
but the percentage.
It's just the scale of things, isn't it? If you've got a static filter, the water coming out is going to be pretty dead. If you've got a moving bed, the water coming out is going to be a lot better. If you've got a shower, it's going to be coming out even better. It's just a scale.
So my question was, Ricky, do you need to put oxygen into the pond additional to the water that's coming in from your moving bed?
It depends on the stock density, the temperature, and everything else, but less so than a normal flooded multi-chamber thing that just is going to deplete the oxygen. But yeah, it's depends.
There's a video out. There's a video out on YouTube where I think he's a guy from Holland.
Yes,
and he goes throughout his full pond
with a packy shower, wouldn't it?
With an oxygen meter. He does it with his moving bed. He does it with a backy shower. He does it with a trickle tower, and he does it with his main pond. He puts all the air on in the main pond, and he tests to see how much oxygen he had before and how much it went up by, and it went up by like 10% when he put everything on full. He then takes the oxygen coming in the pond. He knows what oxygen he's got in the pond. So then he checks the oxygen content coming out of his backy shower, and it's less than what's in the pond. So it returns with less oxygen from the backy shower. It returns with less oxygen from the trickle shower, and it returned with less oxygen from the moving bed. All three of them consume oxygen, less than what you're putting in.
I think the
the point is they're all things that consume oxygen because that's where your filtration is. But if you think of old school filters where you've got static chambers, the water coming back to your pond is devoid of oxygen.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is what's coming out of the backy shower might be registering at, I don't know, 6 milligrams per litre, and this pond might be 7 milligrams per litre. But that's obviously a lot better than what would be coming out of a lot of other filters. Yeah. So you've got to weigh it up. So I mean, you're enclosed pressure filters or bead filters or whatever like where you've got that bacteria, the only oxygen that bacteria's got the water coming in, the water coming out is depleted way beyond that. So it's just a balance. You know, of course you'd have more oxygen in a body of water if you're putting oxygen in it or air in it, as well as everything else coming in it. You're probably above what it should be for its temperature as a static pool of water with nothing being used, because you're physically taking it beyond 100%. You're taking it to 110, 100. You can go way beyond. That experiment might sound great, but he might have algae in his pond.
No, this was in a massive, great big show pond that was within his fishing environment.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that pond might have a certain amount of algae growing on the sides of the pond, as every pond
which
would
is
do,
going to be consuming some as well, I suppose.
which is going to be generating pure oxygen into the water during the day. So his pond might be way above 100% naturally during the day. If you do it in the morning, it might be different.
The whole process that he was doing, it's all within a big greenhouse. And what he was trying to emphasize the fact was, as your pond rises up in temperature, how much of a difference it makes when the pond's consuming the oxygen and all the rest of it. And the fish are needing more oxygen because the water's warmer and et cetera, et cetera.
And again, that's absolutely perfect. But at the end of the day, if he did his test in the morning and in the evening, he might
have been
find
totally different results. Yeah.
Just the natural greenery would have changed those parameters as well.
Ricky, I'm just trying to remember. Have you got oxygen in any of your tanks?
I don't know. Some of them. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm just trying to remember. What about you, Crafty?
What's that, bud?
Yeah, oxygen.
Do you put air? We run air in everything to a degree, but as a backup.
What, in the shop?
Yeah.
Inside the shop, yeah, there's oxygen in all the tanks. Outside, they've all been turned off.
But would you through summer months, you'd have them on?
Oh, yeah.
You definitely do, don't you? Yeah.
There's no
everything in our shop, so that all the air runs off of a different power source to all the pumps.
Yeah.
So if we have a power issue on the farm and all the pumps shut down, all the air's run from the house. So it's a separate power. If the whole area goes out, the alarms go off and we've got a panic. But everything that can, whichever power source goes off, they're all fine because you've got two sources of keeping them alive.
Yeah. And that's where a lot of people go wrong at home. Right?
But mostly we've only got one source of power, haven't we? So we've obviously got two sources of power coming to the farm. So we've split it. One runs air, one runs.
But even for a consumer unit, the way that I've set my plugs up is that there's always an air source and a water pump running. So if one fuse trips in the consumer unit, I've still got a pump and an air pump running on another plug. So unless the whole thing trips, you can't really do much about that. But if one fuse goes, it's not knocking two air pumps off or two water pumps off. So you split the load over the consumer unit. It's just a safeguard. So when you go on holiday, you're safe to know that unless the whole power goes down, you're always going to be okay.
Dave's asked a question there then. What happens if you've got a bottom drain? Won't that take the warm water from the bottom of the pond as well?
100%. That's part of the problem with that kind of setup or whatever.
Yeah. But it's the best setup.
It's one of them, isn't it?
It's the one. Let's say if it's 90% fantastic throughout the rest of it, it's that 10% issue that you've got when it comes to.
In reality, unless you've got a stupidly deep pond, would a 4-foot pond have any difference from the top to the bottom?
100%. If you shut them down, you think I'm freezing.
What, 2-3 degrees?
No, but you would always have 4 degrees at the bottom. Naturally, even in a bucket, if it can, it will automatically. That's when water's densest, so the water will sink at 4 degrees, and it will then obviously rise. Anything above 4 degrees or below 4 degrees, it rises. That's why it freezes at the top, but it's never frozen at the bottom unless it's crazy cold or whatever, or you stir it up. So that's why they survive in a natural environment. And yes, at 4 foot, if you had a 4 foot deep tank with no sat in the ground with no water movement, it will be frozen solid on top.
With no water movement. But if you had a 4 foot normal conventional pond with a pump in there pumping out.
Yeah, but that's the thing. So what you do theoretically is you bring that pump up to the surface and turn it down or whatever. So you're not stirring up that bottom layer.
Yeah, but I would love, I can do it. I can shut my 2 bottom drains off. And I can have the water coming in from the surface, going into the drums and back in on the surface. I bet you that temperature difference between the top and the bottom, even on 7 feet of water, I bet you it ain't a lot.
I bet you it'll be more than a few degrees because they'll die at 1 degree and they won't at 4.
No, but
I'll tell you what, Matt, last year that was this year actually, early months of this year. I run in my own pond at home. I run 2 temperature sources, thermometers. One sat about 6 inches under the water, and one sat down on the bottom, and there was a 3-degree difference.
With a bottom drain or without? Is that
With the bottom drain, and that was going on surface return.
Well, Sweet Acre Koi Farm did a video last winter where she did a surface temperature, and this was under a poly system where she covered up the pond with a poly framework. She'd got a surface temperature reading, a mid-water reading, and a bottom of the pond reading, and I think there was something like 5 or 6 degrees difference from surface to bottom and mid, all dropped down by a couple of degrees the deeper it went. And it managed, she went out every day of the week for God knows how many weeks. But yeah, it was consistently warmer at the bottom of her pond than what it was at the top.
Yeah. Gaz, you mentioned then a polytunnel over the top of the pond. Do you reckon there'd be a good call for a bespoke pond?
Yes.
Who said that?
Yes.
If you're going to say a bespoke pond framework that you could just bob over top, quickly erect type thing.
Yeah, as a polytunnel.
Yeah. Mini polytunnel type thing that you could just take up frame. If you could get this is the thing for me. I would have one over top of mine. If I had somewhere that I could collapse it or somewhere that I could use
storing it,
a reusable cover rather than something I could only use once.
You know the tenting system where you put you have a male and a female. If all of them were bent to the shape of your pond, then had a dome over the top for your polytunnel, polyurethane sheet, do you reckon there would be a good business call on that one?
You remember the caravan awnings where they have the windows in them?
Yeah.
That strong plastic but visible so you can see through it. If you could, I'd buy one of them if I could get one.
The problem is the first good gust of wind and the bloody thing would be 4 gardens away, wouldn't it?
Well, I mean that's what I put a little frame greenhouse type thing for growing plants and seeds on it, and that lasted about 3 weeks, and it were in neighbour's garden. Everything.
What we're thinking is if the curve is only a small dome as such and not a big, so it's deflecting the air, not stopping the air.
Yeah,
they can bend all of your. So whatever the shape of the pond is, exactly the same as what we're doing with the pond liners, box liners. You give us a template of your pond, and we'll make a bespoke frame to sit over your pond with a zipper on it that you can open up and feed your fish.
You could
the problem is again,
I'm prepared to invest.
Right, here you go. I'll tell you how to do it. Go to a camping shop. They sell loads of different length tent replacement tent poles. Okay, and then all you need is tent pegs that will take the poles like female both ends. Right, you could stake them in, bend that over, and get yourself some polyurethane sheeting to put over the top. Job done.
The big problem is, like what we've just had, is snow. You get snow on it, and it was.
Yeah, it just collapsed under the weight of it in mass.
A net structure, like what you're saying, a net structure with plastic 20mm piping going over, just net over it. The snow completely flattened it just by settling on the net. I mean, you wouldn't think snow would settle on nets, but it did.
It did on my pond, does.
Yeah, put the whole lot down. I shook the snow off. It's come back up again, but yeah, it's a lot of weight in snow.
You've got to you can't just put it up and forget about it, can you?
No, but it snows in the night.
You've got to go and knock it off, haven't you? Or brush it off or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, but like I say, unless you're going to stop up all night, it normally snows through the night, doesn't it? It's knackered by the morning. It's collapsed.
You know,
just with the way
the thing that Matt said is, if you've got the money to get a bespoke fit one that fits your pond specifically, and Matt can do that for you, then why not?
Yeah.
But if you haven't got the money and want to do it a little bit more on a budget, go and do it.
Matt, soon as though that I actually spit it out of my mouth first before you did, that means I own 50% of the business and all profit.
You didn't dibs it
Live. Everybody heard it here, so
The top notch bit as well is that we can do it, or we're looking at doing it, that you can actually have a net over the top. So during the summer months, you can stop your otters and your herons getting into your pond.
There you go.
I
think it's a cracking idea, mate.
Yeah, I do and all. If I had one for me, what I would like to do is like to take it up to the fence and bring it down vertical down to the back of the fence, but bring it as a pitch slope roof. So if, like Daz said there, with snowfall on it, it just slip and slide into the garden and onto the lawn, and that way then it just slide off.
Yeah,
like a lean-to type of thing, a bit like my conservatory that I'm sat in now.
It's got to be really tight though, guys, for it to actually slide off. Because what
Yeah.
tends to happen is instead of it being a straight slope, it sags in the middle, and you just get a load of snow in the middle.
But what I was shocked when I saw the other day, and I don't know whether Rich's are like it, but a properly erected polytunnel, when you put the polyurethane on, you're supposed to be able to go ping and hit it, and
Yeah.
it sound like a drum. It's
Yeah,
that,
like a drum. Yeah.
None of ours do that.
Not
Well, actually, the way that they actually get that tautness to them, I believe, is once they've got them on and they've got them partially done, they put a burning torch in there, a red hot torch, don't they? And that torches it all up, and then you tweak it all up to make it tight.
Heat shrinking.
Yeah, heat
sure.
shrink the plastic. Yeah, because if you wave a heat at that plastic stuff, it shrinks and tautens up tighter.
Yeah.
now I know what you did then, Rich, because you said that was just your air ventilation bit.
Yeah, no. So when we do them properly, the best time to do them is on the hottest, stillest day of the year.
Yeah. Cheers.
When it's hot and it's easy to stretch, and you can then put them and really pull them down. But we have to do them generally in the winter. So even on a nice day in the winter, you pull it tight. Next day, saggy pair of pants.
Yeah.
You just got to live with it.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much you can pull and you get it proper tight, and then the sun comes out and it's like. Blah, 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 blah.
I bought 2 tickets. Lee Taylor says I bought 2 tickets for the Odakan Grown show. Are the fish still in Japan?
No, they're in the shop.
They're in the shop.
They're currently going through their first heat ramp. Stress fish have been added now, and we've just started to see signs of mild sleeping sickness in them, which is brilliant. It's exactly what it's designed to do. So hopefully we can pull them out of that, and they'll all be nice, fit and healthy. I've also started them on a bit of a diet now, so between now and when the grow and show starts, they will be a good size in comparison to what we've got at the moment. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The more I look in there, the more I see better fish, man. It's, you can't stop that.
So what temperature are you putting them through sleeping sickness at?
26.
Okay, baby.
I've got a question for you. Would goldfish need, or would they be prone to getting sleeping sickness if they've been imported? Do you have to do the same protocol for goldfish? Like when I say
Pocket
goldfish,
grenades don't require the same things, does it? It's just pull a pin, bro.
No, I mean, to be fair, I've never seen with the goldfish that we bring in, they tend to, if anything, get a touch of costia. Put through a treatment, bring them through, but you don't ever really see them. Sleeping sickness.
I've heard of badges of Tamasaba going through it and needed dealing with. They go down with sleepy, the same. But they're generally tougher, and you generally buy goldfish, and even little ones are generally older because it's just how it is. But now you can start buying toe-side Tamasaba.
Yeah,
they've not been put through it. Then it's like
still need that.
You tend to find if you've got a whole population of fish going through it, if you know what you're doing, it's easy to deal with. But it's more of an issue than when you've got one new fish going with a load of it doesn't bounce. It's not as big a problem.
The issue is when you introduce a fish that hasn't been quarantined properly, or quarantined at all, and gone through the motions that respected koi dealers should do. When you then introduce that fish into a said pond, and they then pick it up because although they don't get cured from it, they become immune to it when they come through, and potentially you could have a carrier in your pond. And then all of a sudden, the rest of your pond start going down with it as well. You know, it's a bit.
Jody Coy Dave's asked you a quick question there, but he also asked, would it be best to come to the show or come to the shop, Crafter, first of all? Because he asked that earlier on up there.
Always good to come to the shop because we'll only take a select amount of fish to the show, and you're going to have a better experience in the shop because of the range that's available. So, you know, even if you're not looking to buy big fish, it's still nice to see them, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, the BKKS in Coventry is always outdoors.
Yeah.
His wife loved the metallic koi you were selling on the auctions.
Thank you.
That's what you want, isn't it? Your wife to love them.
Yeah.
Free reign, then, isn't it?
Oh, hang about. Where's that? This is a good question, Lee, there. Did I miss Lee's question?
I like Matt's response.
There we go. Right, Lee's asked about I've already asked that one. If you don't run air in your pond, Gaz, how do you keep it from freezing completely over? Do you need a hole for gas exchange?
Not unless you've got loads of dead vegetation.
This is the one. Come on, Rick.
It's not just vegetation, is it?
Yeah, but it depends if you run any type of water through it. And yes, if you've got a lot of vegetation in the pond and it freezes over, you will get a lot of gas build-up. But in general ponds, you shouldn't. Depends on where you are, how long you're freezing up for. If you're worried about it, then you can either run those little tiny heaters that keep a air hole. But your gas exchange through that little air hole is pretty minimal. Yeah.
If you, let's say, for example, if your pond, because I think mine, when it froze over last year, it froze for about a day and a half max.
Mm.
That were it. And I did post a little shout out saying the pond covers are on, and I got loads of people saying, "Well, you need to melt an hole in that pond for gas exchange." And I went, "Yeah, all right, yeah." A day and a half.
Short term, that kind of level.
We're not
the
looking
amount of
at
oxygen
anything,
at that temperature the fish are using next to it's not a problem. But again,
but if we were talking weeks and weeks and weeks, then yes, you would need to.
Yeah. Well, it's like anything, isn't it? You still get a build up of toxic gases that want to exchange. It's naturally the bodies of water you're dealing with are massive, aren't they? It's not such a problem. But if you've got a small condensed pond that's then frozen up and you've got a load of fish in it, and you fed them a week before because it's quite mild and they're shitting out and there's a load of vegetation rotting, then it's going to become a bit rank pretty quick, isn't it?
Well, prime example, Rick, when you see like your mud ponds or your lake or wherever, whenever you see it freezes over and it freezes solid, after a couple of days of it being frozen solid, you'll see pockets of bubbles, can't you? And they come up to the surface underneath the ice.
Yeah, you see gas under the ice.
Those are gases, aren't they, that are actually there? Because you see, because there's videos online where people whack it and then flick a torch to it and it ignites.
Yeah.
You get a big ball of flame.
Methane.
Methane gas, yeah.
Yeah, but that's obviously, so you can get gases like that, but you can also, when the sun comes out, you'll still get oxygen produced by algae and stuff in the pond under the ice.
Yeah.
So it's not all negative or whatever, but yeah, I think it's one of those. Unless you've got a lot of fish in a very condensed area, you shouldn't really need to do it. But that you've got people watching this that might be in Canada and their pond freezes that thick for 3 months or whatever.
Yeah, what do you do with that?
Yeah, we're dealing with 1 or 2 nights of a bit of a lid on the pond. It's not a problem.
It's not an issue.
Yeah.
So then, Susan, I know you're over in the States and probably get far colder temperatures than what we do. So, yeah, there you go. Advice.
If you're worried, just run an air stone near the surface in the corner, and it will generally just keep an area open.
Mm.
And the rest of the pond will be fine or whatever.
Andrew says, Matt, excellent. We'll contact you in the new year with sizes, etc. And he would also like to purchase a new mini polytunnel frame for the winter mums coming up. That's his first
The
customer.
new Matt standard.
What's your commission on that then, Gaz?
It's 50%.
But Andrew also does a good range in light bulbs, as you need 64.
Shasha says, thanks for that. My pleasure. Hang about. Mark says, Gaz full of bright ideas tonight. Shite. What have I said now? It can't be that bright. Just eat your pond. No shrinking then. But this is the thing, Paul. Not everybody has got pockets that are deep enough to be able to do that. There are some people that quite literally will have koi ponds in their garden and not putting the central heating on in their house this year because they can't afford to do so. There is a lot of people that, there are a lot of people out there in the world that have got way more money and a lot of people out there that have got way, way less. And if you're fortunate to be able to do as you are, then, you know, it's fortunate for yourselves, but there's a lot of us that can't. I mean, let's face it, we just watched something this evening. 5.5 million, some person has paid for a gaffer-taped banana to a wall. And it's literally been on news this evening. He paid £5,500,000 for a banana gaffer taped to a wall. Yet there's people out there that can't afford to feed the children. It stinks, if you ask me.
With that banana will after a few months.
But the point is, guys, that money that person's got will go to the artist who's created that. Go to wherever it gets fed down. At least if that money's changing hands, it goes to everyone. It's better than someone that's got 2.2 billion sat in a bank going nowhere, doing nothing. What's that for? The bank, the only person making money out of that's the bank.
Yeah, but if you can buy a banana, Rick, for 5.5 million, then you should be doing something better with your money other than buying a fucking banana, shouldn't you?
But that's right. If you had that sort of money, pal, right? If you had that sort of money and you could spend it on that sort of thing, right, then you're not going to be. You wouldn't donate 5 million to feed other people's kids, man. I promise you. If you're not that way.
Yeah, if chump change in my ass pocket were 5.5 million, you bet your bottom dollar I would be making changes to people's lives. 100% I would.
Yeah, artists.
I don't care whether you believe that or not, but that's what I would be doing, mate. If I got that much money that I could spend 5.5 million on a banana like that, I would definitely be doing something more positive with my money. 100%.
My entry for your 24-hour raffle.
See if you can auction that bugger off 5.5 million and make them a good amount. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, but art's like that, isn't it? That's the great, 20 million quid for a painting of a daffodil that wasn't even made by the bloke that's supposed to have made it.
I mean, I appreciate art, but a banana gaffer tape to a wall, is that art?
That's not art, is it? That's vandalism. Waste of a banana.
Waste of banana. Do you know what that was, don't you? That was some builder in art studio that had been doing painting and decorating. And because you've got to put dust sheets down everywhere, I thought, sorry, I'll masking tape a banana to the wall so I don't forget it at lunchtime. And somebody called it art. And it's just been sold.
But at the end of the day, if money's being spent on, if someone produces a fish and it sells for 2 million quid, it's crazy, isn't it? You could do all sorts, but that money goes to the farmer, the staff, to everyone else. It just percolates, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Ground source heat, but I did miss another one first before. So do you need to put air stones, oxygen in the filter with Jack Matting too? I have air in a pond and a moving bed. Not with your Jack Matting, no.
The more air you got in the filters, the better. I'd say wherever you put it.
But if you put it in with Jack Matting, which is like taking out your large solids, isn't it? And you aerate that, all that shit just comes through to the next day.
Yeah, but it's still working as a biofilter as well, isn't it? It might take out solids and it's
if
still
you're not
using oxygen, isn't it? But yeah.
Mark's put in there ground source heat. Ground source heat is quite a good product, isn't it? But it's well expensive.
I mean, how can it make that much difference? It's only 2 foot down in the ground or whatever.
No, but if you go down 10 foot or whatever, you've got a more stable temperature. So your air source, like an air source heat pump, but a ground source heat pump will always.
Yeah, but it's still
more
cold
consistent.
down there. It's not bloody warm, is it?
It's generally
You
warmer.
dig really, really deep.
If the gas is so basically, if you've got a constant 10 degrees year round at 10 foot, you can set the gases in the heat source air pump, but ground source pump to suit that temperature, so it will run effectively all the time. Air source heat pumps, as much as they're amazing when it's warm, if you've got the wrong setup, they're shit when it's cold.
Yeah.
They literally will stop working. Like now, everyone that's trying to heat their pump, if they've got the wrong refrigeration gases in the unit, they won't be working. They will literally stop working. So
I know a YouTuber that's going through that at the moment.
But that's the problem.
Yeah,
So
me too.
when it's hot, they're really effective, and when it's cold, if you've got the wrong setup, they're completely ineffective. You can be putting a kilowatt of power into an air source heat pump and getting less than a kilowatt of heat back out because it just won't work.
Yeah.
And it's to do with the gases.
The problem is for the air source heat pump is everybody sets them on a 24-hour timer as well. So basically, during the day, they're heating up, stop at lunchtime. Most of them have a 2-degree swing from maximum to minimum. And then when it gets to nighttime, at the coldest point, it hits your magical mark at, say, 16 and switches on. Now, your outside temperatures are at the coldest then, so your performance level is going to be at the lowest. What you want to set your program to is to make sure your heat source comes on in the morning and is definitely at the last play when the temperatures start to drop is at your maximum temperature of your pond that you want it at. So then overnight, your 2-degree swing in your temperature will drop down, switching back on in the morning when your temperatures of the daytime are coming back up. So you get a better performance.
10 degrees.
A lot of people are just running them as and when they require it. And of course, like what Ricky has said then, when you're at -2, which it is here at the moment, you are getting bugger all from it. You're running it all night for bugger all. You're probably just maintaining that temperature it's on. Lunchtime tomorrow, I'll be at the temperature. It'll be switching off, and then it'll be dropping temperature down until tea time when it gets dark again. And then, lo and behold, the heater's back on for the whole night. Try to program it, which you probably have to do manually to begin with to get it to do that, is to get it to make sure that, say, at the moment, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're at your maximum temperature that you want your pond to be set at. So then you've got the drop overnight. People don't like that 2-degree swing from your maximum to switch on temperature minimum. But in reality, whose ponds don't drop 2 degrees overnight?
Yeah.
Gas is because it's already frozen. It can't.
Mine's already cold. My fish just have to fecking lump it and like it.
But that's the thing, to maximise their efficiency, the air they draw from, so the warmer that air is, like you say. So if you've got the polytunnel, you've got a green or wherever, you can put warmer air through them. And if you use them through the day when the air's warmer, they're more efficient.
Yeah.
It's like anything, isn't it? I suppose it's common sense.
Yeah.
Lee Taylor's asked a question there. Currently building a DIY backy shower. Is Alpha Grog a good media, as a lot of people say it holds a lot of waste?
I run all Alpha Grog. Every single filter here is Alpha Grog. I know it gets a bad hype, it breaks down, it holds muck. But I can honestly say if I showed you a video of my Alpha Grog out there now that's been running for 8-9 years on some of them, it's the day it went in there.
Yeah, I've got to admit, not last year, the year before, I took all my trickle tower that I've got, and I took all that Alpha Grog off, and I thought I'd give it a rinse out and see how mucky it was. There was barely anything in it at all.
Mm.
So I put it all back in, and all I do now is just run it through the system. And when I'm topping my pond back up, I leave it to flush out the bottom part of the chamber that I made for the waste that settles in there, and just let it flush through there like a bottom drain system, flush it out, and just leave it to cascade through and run out for 5-10 minutes, and then just switch it back on again. And I've never the Alpha Grog's doing fine. I mean, my dad has 2 of the same little filters that I made on his pond, and that's all he has on his pond, and it does a fantastic job. It's got a sponge over the tops. Obviously, you got your coarse, medium, and fine, and then your
You definitely need a pre-filter side.
Yeah, pre-filter in it. So you've got a
you
pre-filter on top first to stop any the solids and waste going in, and then after that, it just goes straight through over the media and back into pond, and is working.
I think
fine.
that's the big difference. Though what you're talking about is a shower filter or a trickle filter. So Alpha Grog's fine, and it washes itself. It's got a good surface area. Backing house media was designed specifically differently.
Just have it cascading over top of it.
The sheer amount of water they put over it and the science behind it is different to what just pumping water, sprinkling over a spray bar down it. It's a different. When they're run properly, which probably none of us could afford to do, because it costs a bomb to buy, and it costs a shitload to run that much water for it. But yeah, there is scientific evidence to the benefits about it. But you're talking about a breeder again that's running 200 toe size, 60 centimeter toe size, humping food, whatever. It's a different scenario to a garden pond where you're just trickling water over it or whatever. You know, and obviously Matt's got a higher stock density, but he's not growing those fish. They're there to be held, to be displayed, to be done with, or whatever. So you've got different scenarios. Backy house properly done is quite special, but
so is Alpha Grog.
It's mental. So
Do
yeah.
you see how much of it, Crafty?
A litre of Alpha Grog per 1,000 litres in a garden pond.
You're using it, Crafty, are you?
No, don't touch it.
It's one of those medias, isn't it? It's every media's got its place, and it will do its job. You know, and there's no point having backy house media in somewhere where you're not putting the flow through it or you're putting the waste through it. It's got, you know, years ago they come out with all the ceramic ones that they've got surface area. They use it on spaceships because it's got a surface area of 2,000 to 1 or whatever. You know, it's huge, but unless you're putting the crystal clear water over it, it's going to block up and it's not going to work. So you've got to balance up what you're trying to achieve. You know, Momentary created Backy House specifically for a reason. It does what they want it to do. You know, for what Matt wants, Alpha Grog works an absolute treat. It's a tenth of the price, does the job.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to have the right amount of Alpha Grog in order to achieve the results that people need to. So when you're looking at your garden pond, like 1 litre of Alpha Grog per 1,000 litres is what you need to be aiming for. But like Rick said, you've got to be looking at the density of your pond. So for someone like us, we would double that up in like highly dense like stocking levels. Right. So again, it all depends on what you want to achieve, how you want to achieve it. I believe Ryan uses a lot of Alpha Grog in his trickle towers.
Gummy still now Ryan uses, doesn't he?
Does it? Right, okay. So
but same principle, doesn't it?
I know that there's varying takes on what people believe. However, it's believed that Alpha Grog will last a good 10 to 20 years before you need to replace it. So
I think Alpha Grog will last forever, doesn't it? We need to. Doesn't change, does it? Whereas some of the we use came from Orgata Koi Farm, I think. The real life. It was their Backy House media, but it was like a real lightweight stuff. But that will grind down and break down. It's amazing. It's an amazing material, but actually, if you put too much water for it, it grinds itself away.
Yeah.
Which
is not great, is it? Backy House
doesn't. Back to your question, yeah, it's a very good media as long as you're using it, or you know, as long as you've got the right amount there to service what your pond water needs to do.
Yeah, I've never even tried Alpha Grog because of all the sort of negative feedback towards it. I've never even tried it.
I've had it in my pond for 4 years, never had an issue at all.
We've lost Chris. He disappeared.
Disappeared.
When you look at like the ceramic media, Mountain Tree, and I'll say it, and looking at what people have had and put through their backy shower stroke trickle tower, it's turned to turn to sponge after 12 months and literally falls to bits in your hands.
Is that the mountain tree crafty side?
Mountain tree stuff. I mean, again, that's only from what people have told me, and I believe they may have done something different this year to combat that. However,
they brought a new brand out, haven't they?
Time will tell. There's nothing out there other than their word that says different. So
yeah, it looks very similar, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, it looks the same, doesn't it? To be fair.
Where's Chris gone anyway? We know.
It just popped out. Come back. Turn your camera that way.
I'm on my phone. I'm at the other house in Farnham where my pond is. I'm not on my computer, so I'm on my phone at the minute. Good evening, folks. Are you all right?
Chris, turn your phone that way for us.
That way, mate. You're a YouTuber. Oh my God! Here we go.
That's it.
Yes. Now we can see.
Screen.
I normally use my computer, but today I'm on my phone because I'm at my other house. So where my pond is.
2 houses.
Yeah.
Somewhere in winter residence.
Well, this is my long-term home residence as soon as we've decorated and sorted everything out.
Yeah.
The other house is going.
The other house is going. Get ready.
Yeah.
Get on market.
Yeah.
Well, this house is probably worth 150,000 more than mine, so.
Susan's asked this. Hi guys, as you know, I've been having bacterial issues. Can the corner folds in my aligner be harbouring bad bacteria?
100%.
I'd have to disagree with Matt 100%. Sorry.
If you got an area,
let's hang about. Let's introduce this. Let's have a battle of.
I would say yes, especially as a fish wedge behind the.
All those in favour say aye.
Favour of what?
All these two to fight it out.
Fight.
Go for it. No antlers will be used.
Rich, come here. Am I facing the right way? No, I'm facing that way. Come here, Rich.
That's it. There we go. As you were.
Let's face it. It depends what bacterial issue you're up against, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The question was, can it? And my answer is yes, it can.
Is that because you sell liners without folds in?
No, because I sell equally flat liners as well.
I'm joking.
But
go for it, Matt.
Why shouldn't you? If you've got an area of the pond that is almost like a bubble in effect of water that's not moving anywhere, why shouldn't that bacteria stay in that area? If you're doing and parasite.
Why is bacteria?
Wait your turn.
Where is bacteria that's not in flowing water? Why is it bad?
Because at some point or another it could be.
What about that, man?
I would say more parasitic. If you've got parasites in the pond and you're treating the pond.
Hang about. Parasites were part of the question, so I just had to intervene there. Let's go back to the bacteria.
It still works the same way, doesn't it? If you've got
no. Ifs and buts. If my auntie had a pair of balls, she'd be my uncle, but she didn't, so she didn't. Let's go for it.
In my view, being the mean of me as I am, I think if you've got an area of the pond that you haven't got a good amount of flow from it, potentially that bacteria, especially if you're trying to eradicate it, which isn't likely to happen, potentially it's going to stay there.
I'm not disagreeing. Okay, I'm not disagreeing if you've got whatever in your pond, that if you've got areas that there's no flow, so if you put a treatment in, you can't eradicate it.
Exactly, yeah.
But what I'm saying is if you've got a bacterial issue of your fish, it's not being caused because you've got a fold in your line.
No, we didn't ask. That wasn't the question, though, Rich.
No.
How's it bad?
Hey, look at the fireworks and shit. That was cool. The question, let's recap for the question. Hey guys, as you know, I've been having bacterial issues. Can the corner in my liners be harbouring bad bacteria?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm reading that.
I agree with Rick. Okay.
Tell him, Rick. He's had his say. It's your turn now.
It depends, right? No, it depends, doesn't it? Right. What Rick is saying, the bad bacteria that is within the fish is not being caused by a fold in the pond. right? It's living within
No.
the fish. Okay, so therefore,
But
it don't matter what you put in that pond. You had your say, right? It don't matter what you put in your pond. It's not going to treat what's in the fish. Okay, so it's not the cause of the bacteria that's in the fish. It's a different type of bacteria. However, if it's a bacteria that causes issues within the pond water, such as fungus, etc., and you put a treatment in and you can't get to that area, you're going to have persistent issues. I know that for a fact because my last pond, little did I know, had been relayered with a liner, and there was a split and there was water getting through, and so was all the fish shit, and I had parasite after parasite after parasite. So yes, it was harbouring, right? But if it was a bacteria that lived in a fish, it's not going to make a fucking blind bit of difference what you put in water.
No.
Your turn,
I would 100%. I'd agree with you, Crafty. Daz, over to you.
For me, if you've got a bacterial problem in your fish, it has come with some other fish or whatever. Yes, if an environment's bad enough, you can stress the fish enough to succumb to a problem they're already carrying.
Yep.
So that's part and parcel. If you've got areas of your pond that aren't circulating great, that build up shit, it's not the end of the world. It's like every natural environment there ever is, that you have different types of bacteria. And anaerobic bacteria is no worse than aerobic bacteria. We use some for one thing, we use some for another. You know, in a filter system, you want both. That's why when ponds mature, you go through the basic cycle, but actually in reality, it takes a lot longer to get a balanced pond. And that's because you start getting anaerobic bacteria in certain areas. You get a whole balance of stuff going on, but you don't suddenly get ulcers on your fish or bacterial problems because you've got a big crease in your liner that could be harbouring stuff. It doesn't work like that. It's something that the environment is what it is. New bacteria can't get in that environment unless something brings it in. So if you introduce a new fish, number one cause, or put water in there that's come from another source that's got a different bacteria in it, or heron comes along and spits a fish out or whatever. You know, there's multiple ways of getting it in there, but in reality, a bit of dirt filter or whatever isn't a bad thing. A bit of dirt behind the line isn't a bad thing. That's, you know, yes, it could harbour a fluke in there if you're trying to treat for flukes. Yes, it could harbour a bigger parasite. A host-specific bacteria that needs to be on a fish to cause damage is not a problem.
So what Rick's saying is 100% no, because it needs to be introduced by a foreign fish or as a foreign
Pretty
body.
much. You normally will introduce a fish, and within a week, you know the problem, or you've done something, and suddenly you've got a fish that's got a sore, got a mouth rot, got whatever. Some bacterial problems you can treat, and you just got to build up immunity to them. Some problems are more severe. And obviously, if it's an ongoing problem, it's probably being caused fish to fish, somewhere along the line.
This is a wicked idea. What we could do, we could craft it at the charity event, bring out a boxing ring, some gloves, a couple of head guards if you need them, you know, if you want them. And we can just let them,
Be 4 ounce.
4 rounds, 1 minute apiece.
No, 4 ounce gloves.
And just let them fight
shoes
out.
inside them.
Yes, what an idea, Alex.
Well, at my age, it'd be like Tyson coming out again, wouldn't it?
Oh, you got bad
Is
knees.
he gay?
You got bad knees, Matt. Up north, Coypon says, I think people associate bad bacteria as anaerobic bacteria. Water in falls would be an anaerobic area.
An anaerobic area. So not the bacteria.
In some of my ponds, personally, I encourage anaerobic areas because they do a different job. They'll break down nitrates. They'll change the water chemistry. In a natural environment, they're there. So
if that was the case,
get rid of ammonia and stuff.
Go on, sorry, Chris.
Doesn't anaerobic bacteria get rid of ammonia and everything?
No, so aerobic bacteria will break down your ammonia and nitrite, but anaerobic bacteria will actually break down your nitrates and phosphates, and they do it in a reverse cycle, so you can get a whole balance going on.
So if we go back to a nature pond like you've got, Rick, there's folds and creases and corners and all sorts of stuff all over there. If that was the case, what Matt was saying, and all that shit and build I'm just repeating what people said. If all that shit and build up was there, then every one of your fish would be swimming around with a bacterial issue, wouldn't they?
No,
Well, every fish in nature would, but that's not the point.
Exactly. So
Rich hasn't got a bad bacteria in his ponds.
what is a bad bacteria?
Something that's creating ulcers.
Yeah, but to us,
No,
a bad bacteria,
an ulcer is a secondary event from an infection internal.
Yeah,
An
but it's
ulcer
still
is a
bacteria.
breakout from the fish's internal.
no, an ulcer is the bacteria breaking down the tissue.
Yeah.
It's still a bacterial event.
So I'll
From what it's ingested in a pond.
tell you a story.
Oh no, Bennett alone.
Oh dear.
So
Chris has already gone to bed.
a customer bought a pond off Gumtree, eBay, wherever it was. It was one of the made ones, you know, the fiberglass, slightly easy ponds. He, at the time, bought 4 of the fish that were left over from the pond, and the customer was giving it all up, so he was selling off all the ponds. He brought the fish back to his place with the pond, put the fish into a separate pond. Well, it wasn't even a pond, it's a swimming pool. Rich, you've seen the photos of this one. And then he built the pond. He added the fish to the pond, of which he then had symptoms, mild symptoms of bacteria issues, semi-ulcers, bad ulcers, anything like that. He then added a collection of fish into the pond, and every single one of the fish broke out into ulcers that is probably the worst case I've actually seen. The activity of this was just unbelievable. That in the morning he had, I'll send you a picture in a minute, Gaz. He had.
We've seen these before.
You don't need to.
We've seen them before because you spoke about this before. But the gentleman that bought those fish from that gentleman took those fish home, put them in a new pond, rebuilt it, did everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's to say that all those fish weren't the last of what fish he'd got that had survived the bad bacterial infection that killed all the rest of them off?
They
So
were.
when you brought those to the new pond and brought new fish to those fish, all those fish that hadn't experienced that bacteria before all broke out in ulcers and died because of.
That's exactly what's happened.
Yeah.
You know, and he added 2 lots of fish to the pond from 2 different sources, and both lots went down exactly the same way. Then talking to Paula, she said that potentially that the level of bacteria count was increasing, particularly because it was a heated pond. And you'll probably find a slight symptom on all of the old fish. All of the original 4 fish that he got all started showing symptoms of it. We then reduced the temperature of the pond to slow up the bacterial multiplication or multiplying. All the symptoms have gone, apart from the later ones that he's added to the pond, which are going down with it one at a time.
One at a
But
time.
it's
So that just emphasised your answer, Rick, and says you've myth busted again. Introduction.
That's how these things carry on, isn't it? So if you've got one source of a problem, so all the farms in Japan might have now eradicated that problem, but there will be keepers out there or ponds out there that have still got it, and people will then pass on fish willingly or non-willingly that then recreate the problem, don't they?
Yeah.
And it gets into bigger and bigger lakes, bigger and bigger places. I see it a lot less. If you 20 years ago, it was in the magazines all the time. Aramona Sally, you avoid this window. This is a common problem. This is something you've got to deal with. This is part of koi keeping, dealing with ulcers and stuff. That's kind of been eradicated in the last 20 years through fish hygiene and knowledge of how things work. The chain's sort of been broken. So you buy fish, and even if you're not the best koi keeper in the world, you can give them an environment. They don't develop those problems because they're not there. They can't just get KHV. They can't just get ulcers. They can't just get these problems without, you can still kill fish easily with ammonia. You can kill fish all day long, but these sort of health problems that killed fish in good ponds are slowly being sort of eradicated or dealt with. So our knowledge has got to a point where if we give this fish this environment and this fish hasn't got these problems, it will never have these problems. It can't just get a problem. It's got to be introduced to that population of fish. So the farms in Japan are heavily tested. They're aware. They do whatever. Sleeping sickness used to kill. 20 years ago, they wouldn't ship Tozide because as soon as they shipped them, everyone went, "Oh, my fish are laid on the floor dying." They learned what sleeping sickness was. They learned how to deal with it. They learned how to harden them up. They learned how to sell them. Or if they can't get them through it, they sell them to people that know how to deal with it and go, "Look, these fish haven't been through this yet. When you get them back, make sure you introduce a knee side with them, give them sleeping sickness, put them through 26 degrees, bit of salt. A week later, 2 weeks later, they're good to go." Whatever. That's knowledge. That's what you use. What to one person buying those fish 20 years ago was an absolute disaster is now actually, well, we can, this is part and parcel. They have to go
turnaround,
to go out to other people's ponds. So some stuff is dealt with. Some stuff like ulcers you can't deal with in that way. So you have to eradicate it. You can't have it in the farm. You can't have it in that system. So the only time generally they pick it up is when they meet old fish that have seen it before. As Matt said, so there's this bunch of fish or the fish from somewhere else that have had a problem, recovered. And then you do what else? And that's part and parcel, isn't it?
There you go.
The koi guys put in there. My uncle had 9 fish, not a mark on them for years. Every time he adds a new fish, the new fish breaks out in ulcers within weeks. Every single time. Fish is added from all different sources. Never a problem with the 9 fish. Whatever going on in that pond, those fish are immune to it. So that comes to that pond, literally breaks out in ulceration. So they're carriers of something that's transferring to the fish that not been exposed to it before in the past.
So the real problem occurs when Ross's uncle dies, and those fish get given away to someone. Those 9 fish head off to. Someone puts them in a lake, someone puts them somewhere else, and that problem then just rolls on and on and on, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So you in a fish farming world, you try and say, well, we destroy that. We destroy those. We can't get to the point of having them safe. So we just we just destroy them. It's not nice to do, is it? You don't want to do that. But if there's something we can't control, then at the end of the day, the implications are a lot worse than those 9 fish, aren't they?
Yeah. You think of the greater good, haven't you, for everything
else?
Well,
this gent's pond is going to be half stocked to what it should be, and with the potential of putting some cracking fish into that pond. But the fish that he's got in that pond probably come to 5 to 6 grand of fish, and they've all got to be rehomed in his own environment, on his own house, in a separate pond, just for those fish, or each one of those fish have got to be terminated.
Yeah.
But the problem with the road we can't go down is, so other people have had similar problems, and then have got beyond them with good water, good husbandry. So the strains of bacteria that one person might have isn't the same as someone else. So you've got to be a bit careful. You can't just say we've got to destroy this, we've got to do that. You might find, that it's all to do. Bacteria is crazy stuff, isn't it, man? There's so many different strains. So one person might have a bacterial problem that stems from overstocking, stress fish, poor water, but actually it's quite controllable once they're healed up. That you can put more fish in there and never see a problem again, because it's not a bad strain of bacteria. Really, it's just an opportunist strain of bacteria that will do damage to weak fish. You get other strains like Ross is saying there, where those 9 fish have killed every single fish that have ever gone near them. At that point, you think, well, yeah, they're pretty dangerous.
Thanks for joining us, mate.
Yeah.
So Susan says she's currently heated at 20 degrees. Should I reduce the heat then?
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
But you'll reduce the speed of the problem.
Yep.
You might not be curing the problem. That's
But the likelihood is
And that's so interesting.
you're not going to cure it anyway. But if you drop the heat down, at least you're going to slow up the effect of the bacteria and the multiplication side of it, giving the fish a half fighting chance to overcome it. And if it is one of the good or the bads, at least then,
But then there's a
at least they're going to have a chance.
it's a flip side of a coin, isn't it? Because you turn
because their immune levels.
the immune system drops, so does the growth of the bacteria. So you're longing the problem out. The fish is not going to recover any better. It's still going to have the problem, and it's not going to have the energy to put it right. So
the best way is if she loses one to have it tested, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah,
The only way round a bacterial issue really is through antibiotics and getting the right treatment for that bacteria. There's somebody I was talking to somebody recently that had told me that somebody had overcome a bacterial issue. All of a sudden, the pond's got cold and that problem's not there anymore. Well, guess what? When spring comes, that bacteria is going to reignite and
vengeance, isn't it?
Right. So temperature is important. You've got to balance the two. Temperature is your best friend in fish, because you've got to keep their immune system pumped in order to fight off any nasties that's going on. It's like us. If we have liver failure, we're not just going to take paracetamol to try and get around it, are we? You need the right treatment to do the right thing. So bacteria, you need to get a swab done, send it off to a fish health specialist, right, and then get them to tell you what it is that you need to treat the fish.
Yeah, that's what you need to do.
Round in circles.
Temperature's not your issue. Although if you lower it, it'll reduce it. If you increase it, it'll probably bring it out more so. But temperature-wise isn't your problem. Finding out what your problem is what you need to be doing. So getting a swab test, having it sent away, and then finding out which treatment you need to get rid of the bacterial infection that you've got. That's the only root source to get on top of it. And then
she's in America, isn't she? So she
Yes,
can probably get the antibiotics a lot. The
easier
problem
than
is
what we might hear.
we're one of the strictest countries on the planet to get hold of antibiotics. So they'll tell you what you want, but you can't get it, and they'll give you.
I shared on Gaz's community page a post that I read on Facebook, which was somebody having issues with their fish, although they looked totally and ill. A vet come out to their pond, scrape the fish, found fluke, give the secondary infection was ulcers, nothing wrong with any other fish. They treated the fluke for them, administer antibiotics, and believe it or not, that cost them $200 for that to happen. To put treatment in for fluke and put a bit of antibiotics is always beneficial, especially if you've got an ulcer, right? But actually, we can do that ourselves over here because it's secondary infection. Right, but I bet you they didn't tell them how they should be running their pond to prevent that from happening. But I would say in America, if there's vets out there and you want to spend a bit of money to get bacterial injection, antibiotic injection, then do so, because that's the only way that you're going to get around it.
Susan said,
one of my customers over in Bournemouth, this was 2 years ago, he was injecting all the fish daily. And the last bill he got, it all added up to £1,500. And how many people can afford to do that?
Yeah.
However, we're going to say it again, Rick. It's all relative, isn't it? If you've got, bearing in mind, koi in America fetch 5 times what they do in the UK, right? For even box standard fish, right? If you're spending big money and you've got, let's say, £20,000-30,000 worth of koi swimming around in the pond, $1,500 is what you should be spending to keep them alive, isn't it?
Yeah. She says she's tried antibiotic foods with no success, but that depends whether just because it's antibiotic food, it's the right antibiotics, does it? You can get antibiotics to get rid of a viral infection, but it won't work for other things. So it has to be the right type of antibiotics to get rid of the bacterial issue you've got.
I don't think you can
Well,
get, just putting out there, guys. I was going to say, pretty much, I don't think you can get antibiotics to get rid of a viral infection.
Well, bacterial then.
Bacterial infection. Well, that's the reason why they don't provide antibiotics for.
So what people would do in this country is a doctor will give you a broad spectrum. Oh, you've got toothache, you've got a bacterial problem. They give you a broad spectrum antibiotic. But the problem is obviously if it doesn't work for that bacteria, it just, again, it's one of those things. That's why bacteria become resistant to certain products, isn't it? Which is why we're clamped down so much in this country. So that's why you send a sample off and they'll go, well, this gram-negative bacteria is resistant to A, B, and C, but actually susceptible to B, C, D, and E. So we can use these 4 rather than these 3. But these four are only available in powder form that have to be fed. You can't inject them or whatever. And this is where it becomes a nightmare to find.
There's no to say that the pooler fish are getting enough of that antibiotic food.
Yeah.
No,
if they're not feeling too cracky, they ain't going to be coming up and getting as much food in as your healthy fish that are coming up there and slamming hell out of that food and eating it more than their fair share as well.
So you overdose one and you underdose another.
Underdose another, yeah.
That's the problem.
I get enough people asking me about the sturgeon. How do they get the food down to the sturgeon during the winter months? Not
don't put them in.
Just don't put them in the pond in the first place.
Don't put them in, and then you don't have to worry, do you?
No.
Put them in their own pond.
Oh, you got your own sturgeon pond, Gaz.
I wouldn't have a sturgeon given, mate. You know that.
You have a dry pond for them.
I'd use them as javelins.
But yeah, it is a problem. So if you've got a parasite problem, you can treat with a treatment, can't you? There's a black and white path. You've got this problem, you can use this treatment. If you've got a viral problem, you either deal with it or you can't. There's either an option or you can't. The bacteria is one of the. It's probably if you're a fish treatment manufacturer, it's probably the golden nugget, isn't it? Because this treatment kills bacteria, we can sell you this, and this treatment kills this bacteria, we sell you that. But none of them really work. But it would in an environment. It might kill it, it might not. We can sell loads of it. You know, I'm sure they'd do all right for it.
So there, to answer a short question with a short answer, get one of your fish swab tested, find out what the actual bacterial infection is, and treat with antibiotics accordingly. And that probably will come. Actually, one quick question for you, Susan. With your main source of fish that you had in your pond, have you by any chance introduced a fish from somebody else's pond or picked up some new stock recently and then had an outbreak of a bacterial
I think
infection?
we've been down this road, Gaz. I think she had some old fish from an old pond that had a problem and they were in a quarantine.
Oh, there you go. There is your answer.
Remember it.
The rumbling of the problem, innit?
It's always the same source. Whenever you ask that question or this kind of topic comes up, that is always the root source of it. And it's been stated many, many times before that it's always introduced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Already there.
Or already there, yeah. And
because I've had an instance this week where it's a pond that I look after, one of my customers, and I've been going there probably the last 2 years. And the pond is absolutely pristine now and looks lovely. The fish are all lovely. I know how old they are. They're all between 15 and 20 years old. And she said, Matt, can I come over to the shop because I want to add some new fish to it? And literally my heart sunk because it was like, I don't want to add my fish to that pond.
Yeah.
Not to the level that she...
Is that why she come to me?
Way.
No way.
Rick Salt at 15, she was gone. Straight in pond. No.
It's a nightmare, Dave.
It is
For
a nightmare.
a dealer, it is a nightmare.
Well, if you're doing everything you know is right, Matt, then it isn't a nightmare, is it? If you're
But it's a
doing
deal, we can't sell her any fish.
Yeah, but
you can't
got a customer that's
come
coming.
buy a fish again just because a fish is 15-year-old. Yes, they've not been exposed to anything, but that doesn't mean that because she comes and buys a fish from you, she's going to get exposed to something. If you're doing everything you need to do and your fish have gone through all the procedures and you've got...
mate. I know where it's coming from because you know the minute you put fish in there's going to be a problem. And those fish.
I've had those fish for 15 years and not one single fish has died. And I've added your fish and all my fish are dying, or your fish has died.
That's why you do it the right way, Matt. And it goes into a quarantine pond, and you take 1 or 2 of your fish from your main pond to put it in with the fish in the quarantine to see if it causes a reaction.
She's too old for that. She'll be dead next year. She needs one now.
It is the right way to do it. And I know I don't do it. I know a lot of us don't do it, but it is the right way to do it if you don't want to play Russian roulette with your fish.
We ought to do a poll to actually ask how many people have got a quarantine pond, because I bet you it's less than 5%.
Yes, I haven't got a quarantine pond yet.
There you go. There's one on the poll. I have.
I have.
I have. Mine's called Crafty's Establishment.
Yeah.
It is true. There's not. We have so many people that they trust you, don't they? That's the thing. They come and they trust, and so they should, to a point. But then it's a nightmare, isn't it?
You say bacterial issues. I had a pond. I inherited this house. I inherited the pond. I inherited the fish in the pond. And that pond outside in my back garden hadn't been touched for 10 years. No filters, no nothing, just a green pool. And I cleaned it out, and I bought a filter, put the filter on it, and now it's as good as new. Cut all the brambles out that was hanging over it, because brambles were literally growing into the pool. And I've had no problems. And the fish that were in there originally are still in there.
Yeah, but that's a healthy population of fish, and you've just kind of changed their environment. But if you dropped in a new fish in there, you might find who knows what goes on. But the trouble is, once a population of fish have been somewhere for a long time, that's what they're used to. It's going about the native Indians were quite happy in Peru until the Spanish turned up.
Yeah.
They all died.
Get them all with flu. Yeah.
You know, blame the Spanish because it wasn't us, was it? This time.
Not this time. It was just all the other times.
You asked Matt for a poll, and there is a poll there now.
I've seen it.
Stick the little poll in there for everybody. If you could do us a favour, and if you've got one, if you haven't, it doesn't say who you are, so just drop
yes
the little
or no.
answer. Yes or no. Simple. Who are the viewers as a QT system?
There we go. A QT system that's not full of grow-on fish.
I'm going to say
Yes, not a grow-on pond,
does.
a QT pond, because if you're using your QT as a grow-on, technically you haven't got one or the other of you.
no.
That's how we survive as a business. Oh, I've got a quarantine tank. Can I do some grow-on? It is mad, but
I agree with that, Simon. Look, this is why we've always said, and it does genuinely work. I don't have a quarantine. I didn't quarantine my GR here at Surrey. Never had any issues, but a certain other dealer in a name dealers in a transition away had issues. Never again from them. You see, this is what we've said and we've maintained for a long, long time, haven't we? If you go to a reputable dealer and or a reputable breeder and get your fish from somewhere that you know is source free, and they've gone through all the QTs and gone through all these checks and everything and made sure that they put their fish through everything to the best of their capabilities, then you have less of a risk. But it's not no risk. It's less.
It's less, but yeah, it's still. We tell everyone still, even people that buy fish, if you can,
belts and braces, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of course it is. Yeah, it is a nightmare. And the problem is you do get people that buy fish as presents or buy fish online and do stuff for someone else. Oh, I've just put these fish in your pond from next to a neighbour's pond. They've been right for years. It's difficult, isn't it? And part of koi keeping is buying new fish. You go to a koi show, you see fish, you want to buy a new fish.
Yeah.
So,
realistically,
if you've got a decent quarantine setup, you can do that. and get away with it.
Yeah.
But just, yeah, so we all know it's a tightrope, don't we? We've all seen it go wrong.
Yeah.
Would salting a pond to 0.6 give them half a fighting chance to build up building an immunity?
No.
Not really. It will. You're giving them a better chance of survival, but survival's not really it's not what you're going for, is it?
No.
It's just
What you want rather than
See, Simon had a problem, didn't he? And I gave him that shower as a test fish, and he's gone on leaps and bounds, and so that's he's had as far as I know, he's had no issues. He's got an amazing pond, and it's all going well. But yeah, it is a tricky scenario.
Thought you'd had a power cut, Matt.
Yeah,
I did. I just had to find another 50p.
you don't deal with 50p's, it's 50 notes.
With 58% say no and 42% say yes. How many of you out of the 42% actually use that pond as a growing as well?
No, I think the fact is, if 42%,
I mean, it's a multi-purpose thing, isn't it? If you weren't going to introduce any new fish into your pond, you could use your QT system as a grown for some fry or
you can
something.
still use it as a quarantine, because if you're growing little ones in there and you go to a show and go, oh shit, I love that fish from Crafty, I love that fish from Ryan, you can buy them and chuck them in with the little ones. There's no better test than putting them in. You can still quarantine them for 6 weeks with a load of other fish. If the shit is fans, you've got more dead fish in you. But the point is, it's the same scenario. You have to not just keep fish separate, but you have to put them with, like I say, with other fish from your pond, or put them with native fish, or as long as they're somewhere separate. So if something goes wrong, they're separate from.
You've got containability, haven't you?
Yeah, you've got that. It's exactly what Crafty just said. He brought 200 Oda fish. And if you just chucked another fish in with them, and then you keep them separate, you do your thing, and you make sure that they've not got nothing that's going to kill the big fish. The big fish is obviously carrying Steep and 6 or whatever that's going to trigger it in them. You do that process. It's due diligence, and that's what you do. So at the end of it, you're happy that those little fish are not going to kill everyone else's fish, and that big fish has not killed them fish. And you've now got a product that can go off and flourish.
Yes.
Yeah.
God, I sounded good then, didn't I?
You get
All
that.
relative, Rick. So 56.4%. Go on, do it, Crafty. Rock and no. I don't work. There we go.
Is that because you're on an iPhone?
Yeah,
If
you've got an iPhone, you can use it, and you're using it as your camera. You can do the.
Can you pay an extra 600 quid so you can do that?
Yeah. Give
I'm
it.
I'm actually on my.
It don't look like a heart does. You do it that way. That looks like a pound of sausages.
That looks like a bomb.
That's it. That one will work. Do peace.
Penis fingers.
Two fingers, and that should do.
What's this? Just make Daz do funny things? No.
You broke it, Gaz. It used to work before. What have you done to
I
it?
haven't touched your phone. I've been nowhere near it. I haven't seen you in 7 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
6 weeks.
Matt's in a new house with lights and everything.
Very nice, Matt. Funny, you still look very pale in that well-lit living room, though. Have you cleaned your lens on your camera? I got
While we're on that, because I know we've brought it up before.
Yes.
Right? The 2 books that you require. This one. Make sure it's issue number 2. And that one.
And the Bible.
Right. These, believe it or not, they cover absolutely everything that is required to understand fish health. Because, believe it or not, working in this sort of establishment, you've got 8,500 koi to look after day in, day out. Not only that, but that's a product of our shop, so they've got to be in the best health possible, and that in order to sell them and make a profit, keep a business, to be able to come back year on year, guys, with fish, right? So it goes down into a point where it shows you how they do surgery, what they look at, how they find things, and my knowledge has come from reading books, believe it or not. And when you come across certain issues, you take reference to those books, look at both of them, because they will cover the same thing differently, and you will get 3 to 4 options in how to deal with an illness. And rather than going on to fucking YouTube or Facebook and asking all of those experts out there that deal with nothing but a garden pond, and I don't mean to insult anyone with that, but when you come across slight eye sinking in the head, right, and necrosis in the gill, right, straight away people would give you such bad advice on how to get through that. When actually the cure to it is really simple. But it will tell you what you will do if you add X, Y, and Z, what water parameters you need to look at in order to bolster certain areas. Get your fish back to the best chance of overcoming the illness that you're seeing. Not everything needs an injection. Not everything needs FMG or PP or CT. Sometimes it's just the fact of changing a water parameter. Because we've seen it here, we move fish from one pond to another, and then we come across an issue, and it ended up being the pond that was the issue rather than the fish. Right? But a lot of people don't look at that part, right? But the book tells you, right, you need to look at this. Push, changed it, fixed within 3 days, with a little bit of CT added in just to fight off the bacteria we were seeing. And it's not the horrible bacteria that eats all the fish alive, right? But the bacteria that is causing the issue, right? So for the fact of having a book that costs 50 quid and a book that costs 30 quid, right, I prevented a shitload of losses. And that's the bottom line to it, And I don't understand why people will go and buy a toes eye for £50 and not have the ability to look at a book to identify a problem and seek the experts advice on how to do it. I don't understand it. It's like not having a microscope and understanding how to identify a parasite and treat it. All of those things are just key to keeping the beautiful fish that you've got alive when it comes across a problem. Because, like I say on the auctions, you've got to keep them alive. If I'm honest, I want you to buy fish from me, keep them for a year, and then kill them so you can come back and buy more fish off of me, right? And the chemicals off the shelf and whatnot, right? Because that's what koi dealerships are. They just constantly give you fish to go and kill. Right?
All right, Craft. We don't just do that.
But in a nutshell, that's what it is, isn't it? Because let's face it, you're buying fish from us to replace or do something on a new pond, right? That's the bottom line. And until your fish skills get up to scratch, then you will come in, buy fish, kill them, learn, buy fish, kill them, learn. That's what I've done. That's probably what everyone in this room done, actually. You can't help that,
can you? And why even if, okay, dogs. You buy your dog, you take it to the vet. The dog's not well. Of course it's not well. It's got this in its guts. Of course it's not well. It's eating that. We should all learn how to make our dogs well behaved. We should all learn how to do whatever. But we don't, do we? Some of us do, some of us don't. You live and learn.
You say that. I saw one on the Facebook profile the other day. Somebody was sharing. It was on one of the hunting ones, and it was a complaint that had gone into the RSPCB because their dog or a dog down on the local estuary was savaging a heron. And I was like, "Oh,
good boy."
Yeah,
well, I'm not free otter, mate.
Give a bony out.
It wasn't mine. You weren't savaging it. But that's different. Isn't it? That's an animal. A dog is a hunting animal, isn't it? And if it catches a bird, it's going to bring it back or eat it or chew it up or whatever.
Yeah. Some dogs are better at catching pheasants than others.
They are.
Right.
They're like gold dust. Those ones.
Crafty, Vince says Crafty's echoing. It's not Crafty, mate. It's Daz's microphone on his.
Oh, don't blame Daz again.
I don't pick on Daz. Been back a bloody day.
You said that he was throwing his phone in the sea.
And it stopped. It's just one of those things. It happens, guys. Until he gets himself sorted out with a new phone, which is not picking up the sound through his speaker. That's just go to the shop tomorrow and buy one. It's simple. You want an iPhone 14, 15, or 16?
Friday tomorrow.
Is it?
What else were you thinking of doing?
Work.
Saturday.
Bye.
Well, of course, that's when you go shopping.
You can ask your boss for the day off.
I'll put a request in.
You are your own boss. I mean,
I'll see what he says.
20 minutes to take time. Anyway, I'm not. It's not me. You said you were getting one anyway.
Yeah, that's why he was throwing it in the sea in Cornwall.
No, it's because he dipped it. He actually did say, "I'm launching my phone into the sea in Cornwall and picking up a new phone," and didn't because, didn't go shopping.
Yes, my shopping trip was cancelled or postponed.
Oh.
I need my IT consultant to help me.
You just don't go Samsung. You know, I don't want to have to teach you how to use a Samsung. We're bad enough with an iPhone, and you've already been processing through that with
It's going to
last
be an
10
iPhone
years.
14 or 16, Gaz.
Get a Google. You're right.
There's no point buying an iPhone 14 at the same price as a 16 if you're going to spend a couple of hundred quid.
This is what we found out tonight. It's cheaper to get the most up-to-date one.
It is, yeah.
Google.
Yeah, 100%. Or a Google one. That's what I said, Rick. Same as.
The Google Pixel with the control.
Get yourself an iPhone 16. You'll be sorted because anything more complicated than that is just going to blow your. You're just going to have a brain fart.
My tiny mind. Go on, say it.
We're already bad enough as it is with tech. We aren't making it more complicated. It'd take me 6 months just to teach you how to send text messages again.
It'd be good fun though.
Anyway, there we go.
Yes.
Crafty. Is that the only Tozo you got in? The Odecan ones?
Yeah.
Are they actually from Odecan? Are they brought from somewhere?
No, they're Odecan's spawn.
Odecan spawn.
That's the best way to say
He's
it.
born
So
to himself.
it's not what Odecan has bought and brought into his shop in order.
I know. Yeah, I'm saying he's a breeder and a dealer, isn't he? So
No, it's what he's bred. Yeah.
Thank you very much to the 38 people out of the 122 that are watching for taking part in ticking yes or no.
What are we on? 50-50?
Whatever, hard.
50-50?
Phone a friend. Shit, I should have added that.
What was the question in it, Gaz? Because I weren't listening, mate.
How, who, but I spell it how instead of like who, like a dickhead. Who out of the viewers has a QT system? I put in how instead of who, like a knob. And we had a 57 no to a 42% yes, a total of 38 votes in total from the 122 watching. So we didn't even get 50%. So I didn't really give us. Say again.
Who's got QT, like personal QT here?
I've got one in a fashion.
Like my own personal pond, yeah, got QT system.
I haven't got a pond. So,
Mate, most koi dealers ain't. I must be one of the
Four
only
empty tanks that I can use for quarantine. I've got one that's quarantined at the moment, but the other three are empty.
fill them up.
Ben Crafty has it.
Say empty. They got Daphne in.
I bet Crafty has this, Mr. Tate says.
Mate, that's why his advice is shit, because that's volume 1. He needs to update it.
And that's on a Betamax. Or a VHS.
Wow.
Oh, we lost Matt.
That's insane, though, isn't it? Because that, again, to Alan's probably the age he does remember Aeromonas Alley and all the old that issue.
Graph filters.
Come on, Al. Come on for 10 minutes. Come on.
He was on today on our live, man. I've been on YouTube like for fucking like 12 hours straight. I've done the 24 hours on my own.
So you should be full of all sorts of hours when we repeat it and do it again then. Ours.
Mate,
Idea.
I'll have a few more of these bad boys. Dragon soup. It's good stuff. I'm highly recommending it.
There we go. I had a bad bacteria lost. Koi throughout. Koi sorted through the problem. Added new that got bad and died. Phone Paula. She told me told me what to try before antibiotics, CT and salt. Now added 6 new over 2 seasons and the old.
I think she's just putting it.
I mean, they're right.
It really isn't easy when you're already dyslexic trying to read somebody else that. Yeah.
I think what's happened is she's run out of room to finish typing.
So you run out of curses to be able to type anymore.
The thing is, right? So this is where it gets a bit dangerous, isn't it? So Paul has said before you try antibiotics, try chloramine T and salt. But that's 2 treatments that you shouldn't use together. So that chloramine T might have salt, but the 2 together generally
not a good idea.
Not advised. So
chloramine T, then salt the pond.
Yeah, so you use chloramine T first and then salt the pond. And this is the thing in it, because some issues you can get beyond and some you can't. They're not all in the same. I've got a fish with an ulcer. It's not the end of the world. It's not great.
Does Rick have a microscope?
I needed one to see my willy earlier because it was cold.
Oh dear.
Is that a yes or a no then?
Of course, yeah. Well, to be fair, we've been training 2 staff today on it. Or I haven't.
Was that
So
sure?
Busy out. Actually, no, he doesn't use it. His beard gets in the way. You can't see it. Yeah, it's I reckon we use our microscope every single day. Done. There's fish to check constantly.
So Susan, there you go. The answer is CT your pond first.
So this is the thing. So
Then
straight
maybe
away,
salt
you've used chloramine T and salt, but don't use them together.
Yeah, because if you use the 2 together, you won't have a bacterial infection anymore.
I don't know how it works, but it's not great together. So you can use one. You use the CT first. I've always struggled with it. It's always done a lot of. It's basically bleach. It does a lot of damage across the board.
Dave says there what he was told and advised to do was CT first, then salt. Yeah.
This is the thing. We've got to be. There's like at least 6 people watching us. We've got to be clear on this.
And this again is wrong, mate. Virkon
definitely
is
not.
best to try rather than CT. Virkon doesn't treat the fish; it treats the water. It's not
It's antiviral. It's a viral treatment, not a bacterial treatment.
Yeah.
So, question for you, Rick.
Virkon won't do jack.
No.
Question for you, Rick. In all your years of keeping fish on the farm, have you ever had an instance where you have to kill a lot through bacterial infection?
Not a lot, but we have had it. We have had an instance of an ulcer problem from a brew stock that became one of those situations where we can't control it, we can't treat it. So probably about 10 grams worth of parents we had to euthanize.
Oh, gee.
And it's one of those. If you get soft about it, it's everywhere, isn't it? So they're always isolated, they're always kept separate, but there comes a point where you have to quarantine. So this situation happened where I was quarantining a fish from a new place with some existing fish that come from another place, and then you've got a situation that's basically out of control. So you have to just weigh up what you can deal with. And it's horrendous. but you just can't risk it, can you? And to be fair, at least with bacterial things, it's more visible. But yeah, it's the biggest fear on the farm. Otherwise, we'd be buying. Over the years, we buy brew stock every year. You have to new lines, new stuff, and it's the biggest. It is one of the biggest problems that you bring something on that becomes a contagious problem across. So you have to buy from sources you trust. If they've quarantined them or you quarantine them, and then you mix them and then you hold them separate, and you just go through as many, almost like fire breaks. So as many controlled situations before they're released out onto the main farm. But
and try and keep your systems separate, so you're not
a lot of
getting the
separate
same
systems, and you
filter
put through. Yeah, you put through as many stresses, and you add fish to them, and you do different stuff, and it's luckily we've not had a major issue, but it's always there in the back of your mind that you buy a fish from wherever.
But we still see a lot of shops and that have everything running on the same system, don't they, Gaz? And that's just crazy.
Yeah, we've seen it a few places, mate, haven't we?
Yeah,
well, a lot of places do that though, Daz. But the only detrimental side to it is if one system's got something, it goes through them all. If they have to treat one system, they have to treat them all. As long as the systems are running clean, right, and all those fish are sold and gone through the same treatments and same conditioning to make sure they're all right beforehand, it's not an issue. But when you see a fish in there with an issue, that issue is potentially spread across all those vats, which is then the issue.
If your systems are all linked, in reality, from a pet shop license point of view, if you've got white spot in one tank, you can't sell the whole lot.
It's shut the shop down, hasn't it?
Literally, you're off, done.
Yeah.
That's why so we've got even in our little shop, we might have 35, 40 systems. Separate systems. So if one goes down with a problem, technically you can isolate it. That tank comes out. Everything else is. But if you've got one big filter system running 40 tanks and one tank goes down with white spot, technically you should treat the whole lot. The whole lot's off sale for the next 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
You can't really survive as a shop in this turnover. That's the tricky bit. Obviously, Crafty's got that magnified with tropicals, marines, koi.
You can understand it, can't you? With if you've got like tropical systems, you couldn't have an individual filtration system for every one. You've got to have rack systems where those fish are 20 tanks running off of one, 20 off another, 20 off another, 20 off another. Sometimes some shops do have the whole lot running off of one. Just want to double check on something. We've got an Alan T in the chat, and we've got an Alan Tate in the chat.
Ooh, has he got a pseudonym? He's shortened his name.
Well, that's what I was wondering, whether or not it was somebody being a funny bugger or whether or not it's just...
There is an Alan T as well.
There is an Alan T. Normally we have an Alan. I've never seen the Alan T.
Alan Tate comes through as Alan Tate, and Alan T is someone else. He's made comments before, mate.
I think Alan was giving me a bit of grief earlier, wasn't he? About being a referee.
He did give you a sneaky one. Just a little side dig to the rib. Have that.
I think we should put Alan Tate and Ryan in a ring, have a boxing match.
Oh no, Eric and Alan are chatting anyway, so they know each other. Sweet. Just didn't want to go down that line again.
That line.
Oh, we've been there, done that shit before, haven't we? But that shouldn't be happening anymore. Right then. Anybody else got any other?
On the 24-hour.
Oh.
Everyone should be doing arm wrestling. That's always when everyone's had a few beers and it's a good night. About 3 a.m. I reckon Alan Tate's stronger than you think, isn't he? He probably arm wrestling.
Yeah,
I've seen Daz arm wrestling against 2 big blocks in Poland. Smashed them all over there.
I'm ready, Chris. Come on, Chris.
Oh, I was fine. You
wrong hand.
No doubt.
I think you're going to need a lot of luck and not too many beers if you don't do the 24-hour thing. I might pop in and say hello though, just to see how you're getting on.
Chris, we expect you around 4 in the morning. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We haven't been able to fill that position yet, but you've just volunteered. You're a good man.
Oh dear.
I'm going to have 24 cans of this.
One every hour.
7.5%. Apparently, it's brewed.
You will literally be crawling across the floor by the end of it.
Lemon, 0 sugar. That's all I'm drinking.
No, not even a cheeky little vodka in there. No.
Tomorrow night, that's when I start
Make sure you're
drinking.
doing that on the 24-hour though, mate. We need everybody can join us and get absolutely shit-faced with us.
Oh God,
Crazy
no,
golf,
no.
pissed up. What about that, Crafter? Shots at the bar. Can we have the bar open for that 24-hour period? Yeah, wicked.
The bar will be open.
Gonna be messy.
Every hole's a goal. Oh, that sounded wrong.
Oh, that's wrong, Rick.
Cheers, Alan. Thank you.
It's true though.
What's that?
Yeah. In the golf, I mean, you get
Golf.
shot.
Well, yeah, and instead of
If you get a hole in one, you've got to do 3 shots of anybody's choice.
Who gets the shots? The person that does the hole.
Oh
in one.
yeah. Jesus.
Well, the hole in one needs to be
Drinking
Well,
or dispersion.
Well, if you get a hole in one, everybody else has to nail a shot, don't they? Because you don't. You got the hole in one, so you don't take a shot. There's no punishment for getting the hole in one, unless if you get a hole in one, you get a free round off of everybody. How about that?
Yeah.
That could work.
My problem is when we had a game of chess, right? We used to have a massive table and you played chess.
You fall
take a
asleep.
peek.
Yeah.
And then who? We never worked out who drunk it. So you take the person's piece. In my head, you get the drink. But apparently that's not the way it works. You could just
beer pong.
And it's like, well, that's rubbish, isn't it? We can make the rules up as we go along.
Yes, I'm sure we will.
Unfortunately, guys, I've got to love you and leave you because I need to get to bed.
Good night, Chris.
Thanks for having me on. Thanks, appreciate it.
Mate. Take it easy.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us,
Yeah.
Chris.
Nice
You're
of you.
welcome. No problem. Thank you, lad. See you
Take
all.
care, mate.
Bye.
Good night. Right, I'm now going to hand over to our Daz for a short intermediate break while I pop.
All he needs to get for a pee. Little bladder.
Little Bladder. Is that his nickname? Little
This
Bladder.
is now.
Thanks,
Is that
Daz.
his Indian
I'll be
name?
right back.
Okay, see you next week, guys.
Yeah. You've been enjoying this kind of
Not
content.
squatting Neville. Do you ever remember Bottom squatting Neville?
Just for a week. Be right back, Daz. This is over to you now. This is your time to shine. Go for it. 3, 2, 1.
Right, yeah, sorry, I just had a message popped up from Every saying that my parcel has been damaged
Don't
today.
worry about that. You're on a show now. You're live. You can't go into these kind of things. 3, 2, 1.
So how the fancy goldfish doing, Daz?
That's all that
What
does.
did they do? Go on, piss off, guys.
Yeah.
They're doing
Shoo 'em
fine.
away.
I did leave
Shoo 'em
you
away.
the little baby Tamasabas though the last couple of days. I think the cold nailed them.
Don't tell Crafty that. He said they're immune to cold.
Yeah, well, they're not. It's about 4 stuck to the filter like,
But I think is that not a way to go for your farm as well to do all these Tamasaba?
Yeah.
You love your goldfish, didn't you?
I do love my goldfish, yeah.
So and the way the money they're making is surely
Yeah, well, that's why I've bred so many of the little bastards.
so you need to call them little gems, and they're
Yes.
flourishing, ready for people's ponds.
Yeah.
In-
I mean, to be fair, I started breeding the chuffers like September time. It was way too late in the season. So as soon as spring starts, warm up, I'll start spawning them again, and I have no doubt that they'll get a lot bigger, a lot quicker than they have done this season. So I did some other goldfish spawns, and I've got them here. The chuffers are like this. They're bigger than the original parents.
You got to stop calling them chuffers. You got to call them gems, golden,
Gems. Yeah.
whatever they are. Magic.
That's a ton of endearment, chuffer, from where I come.
It's not from down south. You don't want to be called a chuffer, that's for sure.
Yeah, must be
From a fish producing point of view.
Yeah,
You love your like Aragoki koi and your crazy mirror scale koi, whatever, but the goldfish at the minute, those fancy goldfish, have got to be a better money making thing, and it might be short term. I might be then for 1 year only or 2 years.
yeah. I'm sure the bubble will burst at some point, but
They're the revenue at the minute, aren't they?
they are. And to be fair, Rick, they reach more or less finished saleable size within a year. They grow a lot faster than koi in relative size.
They develop quicker, yeah.
They develop quicker, yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely going to give it a good go next season with the goldfish, the tamasaba, and see how fast I can grow them.
You got to think of a new name for them. Dazazabas.
Dragons.
No, that's mine. I've nicked that. Me and Lee have nicked that together.
Oh,
He's trying to paint me a Sankey coloured dragon.
Is that what you're breeding then now? Dragon Sankies?
No, I'm just messing. I'm not messing about it. It's one of those things. You know? I've got a Dragon Ball female that I've know does good eggs, whatever. I've got Lean's male. I've got to do an event for people. That's just it lines itself up for it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Don't fight the river. Go with it.
Yeah.
See, Tamasaba from the Dazzle line.
Dazzle line. Bedazzled.
Dazzle Sabbath.
That's all we're all trying to do, it. You just, I'm not being funny. Ricky Stoller's probably one of the best at bigging stuff up. He is amazing at it. It's like, it's an enthusiasm, isn't it, for something?
It is. Yeah.
So, and to be fair, that's not a bad thing. I love doing what I love doing. You love doing what you're doing. Crafty loves doing what he's doing. Fleecing me blind, nicking all my fish.
Don't encourage him to get enthusiastic about goldfish, Rick.
He is enthusiastic.
He's
going to cross Tamasaba with an axolotl and create a axodazzle saba.
Yeah. A tamasaba with jazz hands.
Matt's starting his own petting zoo.
If you crossed a tamasaba with an axolotl, at least the tamasaba would be able to regenerate itself.
It would, yeah. Every time its tail fell off or you lost an eye.
Yeah, so you could technically you might be able to wipe out the bad bacterial things. If things just rot off, they just grow back.
Yeah,
might do. But I don't know. I just one of those things, isn't it? I think the marketing is saying the whole industry lets itself down on, and it's actually something that Ricky's pretty good at.
Yeah.
Look at that for a comment. I don't need tamasaba when I can grow koi like rugby balls.
Imagine what you could do with tamasaba. They would be footballs.
Yeah.
I want to see drunken darts. There's a good one, Rob. I like that. Last time I played drunken darts, I got one in the back of my head.
Drunken darts with your hand on the board.
Blindfolded darts.
How'd you throw it, Matt?
No, you got your hand on the board. I'm throwing them.
You put your hand on the board, I'll throw them.
Here's one for you. How many different types of gin are there?
Ooh.
12.
To me,
5 or 6.
4.
I'd only say about 4.
I think it's about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
most
about
of them
4 to
are
6.
buried in the archives. Only Alan Tate might know them because they're on his Betamax. But nowadays, you've only got Pearl, Hiroshima, Lincoln,
Dyer.
many. No, the only one I know is mine, the good one.
Well, on here it's saying full diamond gin rin, beta gin, pearl gin rin, and Kalo gin.
Gin and tonic. That's another one.
What's the
What did
difference?
you have?
Yeah,
Did you have full crafty?
No.
I had,
No?
yeah, loads more.
I just said it because gin is becoming something that is a little bit of the hot topic for the new season, to be fair.
Yeah.
So, it sparks a little bit of, for me specifically, sparks a little bit of an interest in where it is, where it's come from, how it's produced, etc. Gaz is searching like fuck on Google at the minute.
Of course he is.
Ah,
Craft, you the other day you had a fish that had yellow gin on the red and then white gin on the white. But to me, that's the same gin, just on different base colours.
It is, and that's how I've had discussions with people on this. However, it would be, if you was to be correct, kin and gin. Kin,
Yeah,
gin,
gin's silver and kin's yellow, but the difference is when they're on different backgrounds, they're different.
they show different colours, right? And one thing I was like, it's like, well, if it is a kin gin, then it should be called a kin gin rather than just a ginwin.
Exactly. You get down a world of trouble. The kin
there are
gin.
4 subtypes of ginrin. Which types of codfish are known for their sparkling scales? Diamond ginrin, pearl ginrin, beta gin, and cado gin.
Cado's the scale edge. Pearl's in the centre. The Hiroshima is the big diamond, like glass shatter.
Reds.
Proper ginrin.
Yeah.
And what's the rarest? What's the rarest, guys, without looking?
What's what?
The rarest.
What's the rarest? It doesn't say, mate, there, to be fair. It doesn't say it. I would have said pearl ginrin. No, maybe cado gin, because that's on the outer side of the scale. No?
No, it's just pearl.
Pearl.
No one does pearl ginrin because generally the fish don't grow very well.
Sakaguchi's got the main
It's supposed
line.
to disappear as they get older as well, the pearl ginrin, isn't it? Or diminish.
I got the Benigoi pearl scale, but that's the only one.
Where'd they come from? Right, Sakaguchi.
Yeah, it was right.
The interesting thing is when you look like just the first three comments that I can see, 6, 5, and 9.
Yeah, 6 from Simon, 5 from Rob, 9 from David. I said 12 because I just had a random guess.
12.
Oh, way out.
And I think that sums it up pretty much, doesn't it? People just associate gin as gin.
Yeah, but what types of gin can carry through to Aragoki?
Well, you've done a good job.
Fuck do I know?
You fucking have done a good job. You know you have.
I know, but it certainly ain't pearl, is it?
No. And to be fair, you want pearl? No.
So we're literally down to one, aren't we?
Have a look on the BKKS website, guys.
It's not great. I tried to find out how many different show varieties there were. Couldn't.
Yeah, it's on there, definitely.
Oh no, I was looking at the big Knocker Society.
Mine's gone to bed.
Yours has gone to bed. Don't call Pam that. She'll kick your ass.
You will.
And here's another one for you, Rick. How important is bloodlines when buying a koi?
So, when buying a koi, well, 0. Unless you know what do you mean? That's completely. No, it's completely irrelevant when you're buying a koi, unless you know what you're trying to achieve with it. Isn't it? I know its bloodline's going to grow massive, but I've got a 10,000. Well, no, I've got a 10. It's one of those. It just makes no sense. How important is the
there's a reason I ask it, because when the Japanese are also certain Japanese breeders are also masters of marketing, aren't they? Right, so they will, like Dainichi, you know, is probably the best at it when he comes out with his Mona Lisa line, Super Monster line, you know, and Sakai's being the same. I apologise, but when you're displaying a fish, it's a little bit like
Nothing on it.
that you mentioned earlier. Gone out my head. That you've got Dragon Ball, right? Again, you put Dragon Ball Sankey on, right? People flock to that rather than, and I would say that some of the NND Sankey that I've got actually look better fish than what the Dragon Ball line are.
100%. I'm not saying. I'm just.
That's why I'm saying about bloodlines.
I think the whole point of bloodline, unless you're someone that's particularly nerdy or particularly rich or whatever you're doing, it's irrelevant.
What about bloodlines as a breeder?
Well, yeah, if you're a breeder, it's all important, isn't it? If you want to achieve something, then that's if I want to go to Crufts and have the best Labrador at Crufts, I need to make sure I'm buying Labradors, not poodles, don't I? Yeah. From a breeding point of view, the knowledge of every aspect of knowledge you can get is amazing. That's what you need. But from a hobbyist point of view, the bloodline is only important if you want certain traits that you know that bloodline has, or certain. It's just nonsense. It's just names. It's just, I don't know. The whole point of me doing Welsh Dragon thing for the show and grow is purely because it's Lee and the dragon. It's just it's a fun thing.
It's a good way to identify your fish as well. I get that.
But in reality of it, it means you're buying a Sankey from us, maybe. You know, I can't guarantee they can grow massive. I can't guarantee they're going to be good. I can't guarantee anything. They are just, that's what you were buying from. Yeah, it's if you want to buy a koi that grows big, then you go to a breeder that breeds from big koi that grow big. That's the only reason you'd use genetics or bloodlines or whatever. If you've got a real passion for sumi that's super jet black, you go to a bloodline that produces good sumi, whatever it. So there is paths to it, but the whole point of this and this is that, for most people is just a nonsense, because they're going to put a fish in a pond and chuck food at it and go, it's pretty or it's not pretty, I like it or I don't like it. Yeah. No, it's one of those, just knowledge, isn't it? Some people love the fact that they know where it's come from, what the parents are, and that's where the certificates come in. This is the parents, this is the age, this is what could grow. That's great. And that's a small percentage of people that are buying koi. Most people just buy something they like. I like that. What's it going to do? Well, it'll probably get a bit blacker, the red will get darker, the body will fill out. Done. It's not going to grow massive. It's just information. Information is kind of dangerous in one hand, isn't it?
I agree. So going off of the back of that, when you look at the results that Sakai, Dainichi, etc. get, okay, like, you know, they're your Ferraris of the koi world, so to speak. Should they, or I know the market dictates, but are you getting a better fish buying from Dainichi than what you would another lesser known breeder or a smaller breeder that such as, I don't know, let's look at Otsuka or Sekaguchi or Fuji? You know, should they charge more for their fish, and should people actually pay up to 3, 4, 5 times as much for a Tozai because of where they come from?
yeah, for certain varieties, perhaps you should. I don't. The difference is, Dainichi are producing 6 shower lines, 10 million showers a year, whatever. And if they're culling, so the parents of this top level, and they're culling, so the offspring should be of a pretty fucking good level, shouldn't they? Regardless. Whereas a smaller breed that's doing multiple like us, so I might do one show of spawning or whatever from lesser parents. You can buy my very best show off me for less than the worst show from Dainichi. You might get lucky, but in reality, you're probably buying a poorer fish than they're poorer. So it's all relative, isn't it? You can't. There will be fish that come out of Dainichi and Sakai that are crap. Not because they're crap genetically, just because they're crap.
I can guarantee you that. I've got one in my pond.
Yeah, but they will. There's no. Whenever you grade koi, you grade the best, whatever. But some of those still turn crap. Doesn't matter how good the genetics are. Doesn't matter anything. And you could go to somewhere else and buy a fish for a tenth of the price that blossoms into much better than what you would have got for the same money somewhere else. But
Okay,
you hedge your bets with if you want a jumbo shower, there's only 5 or 6 breeders that you would even entertain that are producing those fish, because that's your reality of life, isn't it?
But now, right? But now, when you start looking at the breeders in Japan, right, more and more of those breeders are now managing to get the likes of Sakai blood into their spawn and come up with fabulous results. More and more.
I think they always have. I think that what's being missed is they've always used decent parents, but the environment they're rearing them in is improving. So the best breeders have got better environments as well.
100%.
They can give them the food, the conditions, the stock densities that get those insane bodies, 60 centimetre in each side, that are just insane. If they can give them that environment, if they know they can sell them for 5-10 grand a pop. The smaller breeders, that's the big thing, isn't it? You can buy a parent set, but you can't give the offspring that environment to flourish as quickly.
So looking at some of the videos that have been produced in Japan during this Nisai season, once they've started harvesting, two breeders that stood out to me. One was Shintaro, that some of the fish that are coming out of his ponds are fucking insane this year. And the other one was where the Koi Whisperer went. I can't remember the name of the breeder now. But looking at the fish that come out of there, they was insane as well. And when you look at what they're producing as their Nisai harvest, when you're seeing them at 60 to 70 centimeters at Nisai, their Nisai, not yours, you know, the price tag against them in comparison is insanely different. So Dainichi now, all you can do is buy off of auctions because he knows that's where he's getting the money. You know?
Yeah, there's a difference. They've had an amazing temperature range out there for growing their fish or whatever across the board. Everyone's done really well.
Yeah.
Some are of growing fish out in the ponds. Shintaro's always done pretty mega fish anyway. It's not like he's a secret breeder that's just popped up. He's got more facilities. The more money you put in it, and just because your top end are so good, that's to do with stock densities and everything else, and it's not just genetics. So if he's suddenly got, I've got this pond, I'm only going to put 20 fish in there, they might do amazing. And the rest of his stock might be pretty chaff compared to that, because depending on what he's done with whatever fish, I think the knowledge as well. The knowledge is out there, isn't it? But you'll never beat those big breeders. Can use the best fish, cull to the best points, feed the best foods, and give them the best environment. You're always going to struggle against them across the board. How are you ever going to compete with that?
So, it's like you said before, though, Rick. When when you get to that level, they're already escalated more again, haven't they?
They're 5-6 years ahead.
Of course they are, but they've all. 20 years ago, I was in Japan chatting with Dainichi that's running it now. He was nowhere near where he is now. Okay, he was way beyond what I am, but he was nowhere near. They were in a bit of a slump. You know, man,
Definitely recognise you.
Climate changed over, whatever, and it's like to get to that extent, the money, the brew stock, that everything's got to be in place across the board. And now that's the knowledge is there for the diet, the environment, all those things you need. It's not rocket science.
Numbers game.
It's not just a numbers game. The point is not so much a numbers game as if you've got the parents who can do it and the environment that can do it. It's that cost of environment. And how do you say this 10-acre lake? I'm going to put 10 fish in it, or 20 fish in it, whatever. But I'm going to put 20,000 fish in it because that's the only way I can make money for what I can sell the product for. I can't sell. Even to say I could use one of our ponds to grow 5 fish to the level of Dainichi, I can't sell those fish for what he sells them for. Probably less than a tenth.
No, but Rick, if you put 2 Yamabukis together and you reared or hatched 5 million offspring and you selected them in the way the Japanese do you honestly think that anybody would recognise that your best of the best weren't to the same level as the Japanese? Or you
don't need, that's the point. You don't need to. I don't need to. If I had 2 good Yamabuki parents, I don't need 5 million offspring. That's the point. You don't need masses of offspring.
Okay,
you need an environment to rear them to the maximum of their potential, and that is.
Well, that's what he's saying. It's a numbers game. So if you had the environment and the space to rear, let's forget the Yamabuki and say Showa. If you had the space to rear 5 million Showas, or be able to select through 5 million Showas, what would the quality of it?
I haven't got to what I need to change then. So if I had the right parent set, I need to change our temperatures, our water quality, our pond space. I need to change so many things to make that work.
Stuff.
But that's not the fish, though, is it?
It's not the thing. No, but the fish. The outcome of the fish would be because I wouldn't be able to cull the black fry early enough. So I'd need 20 staff to do that. So if you give me 20 staff for a week to do the culling, and then I'd need maybe 2 acres of 25-degree water, the team will live food. I haven't got that, so someone needs to sort that out for me. Then I need to be able to get those fish out and go through that process. It's lots of bits that I can do to a certain level, but I cannot do to that scale.
No, but if you were to take out, say, Dainichi, and you took on his system, and you chose your brood stock and put them in there, and say that
I'll probably do pretty well. Yeah. That's not
okay. So let's go back to the question, because I think that's a 2-tier question actually. Because if you was able to select 2 Yamabuki that were good parent sets, or a good parent set of Yamabuki, would your fish be ID different to the parent sets that would be available to you? Would you be able to tell the difference between yours and Dainichi's?
So 2 Yamabukis?
Or 2 parent sets against his. Would you be able to tell the difference?
So if I was buying them, I can't buy the fish that they use.
But that's what I'm saying. So this is the point I'm getting at, which is the same for every breeder, not just yourself, Rick. It's having that second tier of parent set that aren't being kept by Dainichi or Sakai.
That's the thing. They're starting with. So it goes back to what you're saying as well. Why do Dainichi charge as much for their fish? Because they've got the parents that are worth £1 million each, or £250,000, whatever it is. So they've got that parent set. You might get a parent set that are better than them, accidentally or for whatever reason. But in reality, they've got the choice of the offspring from the best fish in the world. So Sakai Fish Farm, they will sell their best fish to someone to take to a show. But that fish never leaves the farm. They'll breed from it. They'll use it. They've got the choice of the best fish. So technically, they've got the best offspring to choose from. They got the best ponds and whatever. And there's no getting around that. That is, if you want to buy the best Sankey on the planet, you are going to go to Sakai Fish Farm.
100%.
Realistically.
So,
and if someone comes to me and said, look, Rick, I really want to spend my dad's inheritance. I've got 4 million quid and I want a really good Sankey. Can you sort me out? And I'll be, honestly, no, of course I can't. You go to Sakai Fish Farm and you go and give him 4 million quid and he'll give you the best Sankey available.
but if you had Danichi, Sakai, whoever, and they had, how many fish would they keep potentially as parent stock on the farm?
We keep 200, mate, and we're fucking we're tiny. I don't know.
I don't think they wouldn't even disclose that.
No, but if they had, let's say they had 200 fish there, number 201 and number 202 is going to be sold, and Rick, you're lucky enough to have the money in your pocket, you go and buy them. If you had the same money, environment, backup that you need to do it, when you rear those fish to the quantity they're rearing, would we spot the difference?
No, you get fish very similar, but the difference is
only top end.
Tiny percentage, isn't it? So
Yeah.
the 1 or 2 fish that they're not releasing because the body is that much better, the bennies is that, just those little S legends that much better. Why is that fish that much better? Because it's that much better, isn't it?
That's just one thing, but on the grand scale of things, I see where you're going, Matt. Right? If we use that set of rules that you just put in place, the difference is going to be minute, and especially to the end consumer.
Yeah.
But you're saying number 201 and number 202, but what they're breeding from is number 1 and number 2.
Yeah.
To the end consumer,
all the variety.
If we're talking 201, 202 genetics, could those number 201, 202 genetics have the same capability to throw?
Otherwise they'd be number 1 and number 2, wouldn't they? Not 201 and 202. If they had the same genetics, it wouldn't be 201 and 202, would they? Because they'd be up there. They'd all be their number 1 fish.
No, but you see a white woman give birth to a black child that's been from 4 years back, 4 generations.
That's genetic genes jumping, isn't it?
Yeah. So why can't you have that in?
Well, you could, but the likelihood of you getting that from the 201 and 203 fish out of the 202 that they spawned is
couldn't you have, just because one fish has had a slightly better environment than another, it could be genetically the same, but just not developed as well. But its offspring could still be as good as that number 1 fish.
Or temperament of that one individual fish. If that one individual fish is
201 and 202 has the potential to maybe produce as good as number 1.
Yeah, given the right conditions.
But the likelihood of that is less so than number 1.
Well, it's less, but it could still happen.
Oh yeah, so you've got like maybe a 1 in 1,000 chance as opposed to 1 in 10.
Well, you've got to give it the best.
Here's another question then, just to throw that in the mix. Right, let's say All Japan Koi Show. Right, let's throw NND in the mix. Right, all of a sudden NND come up with an NND Sankey that takes the champion NND. The grand champion. Right? Does that now mean that Sakai and Dainichi, a second tier?
No, because unless he reproduces it time and time again and takes award after award after award after award, it could just be a fluke, so to speak.
But the name still carries through.
You've got to be able to reproduce it, haven't you? You've got to be able to replicate it to be able to get that. And that's what Dainichi's done, haven't they? They've gone out there. They've done all this investment for years and years and years. They've progressively gone through till they got the best of the best brood stock, and they can reproduce that time and time again, which demands value because of the quality.
But what
lesser farms that are only just starting off can't get that same demand because they haven't got that backing behind it, have they? But one day they will have.
So what would happen then if Dainichi then threw a All Japan winning fish? It was a Shiro. What would the public's demeanour be of Dainichi with Shiros? They're the ones to get the fish from.
I don't get. They do all sorts, don't they? That's the point. So if I want a decent shower, I can't afford to buy. So I'll go. Our best shows are coming from Dainichi. I can't buy the top stuff, so I can buy stuff that's got a good body and a crap pattern, or good color quality and a shit body. So at the end of the day, I can hope that those genetics together, some of the offspring will have the good aspects together, and the crap ones go the other way, don't they? That's the genetic things, isn't it? I can't buy their top end fish.
Yeah, Vicky put that in a bit there. It's environment and money. More money, better environment. If you can buy the best of broodstock and you had enough money to be able to provide the best of environments, you have as much potential chance, providing your picking skills and grading skills and everything else, husbandry, are on par. You have the capabilities of producing exactly what Dainichi does, but you haven't got the capabilities, we haven't got the capabilities of going out and buying those top fish to breed from and providing them with that exact same environment unless you were over there in Japan.
This is it. You need 30-degree days, and we don't get many 30-degree days here.
That more money, better environment equals better environment. It doesn't.
It does if that's what
that's
you're trying
like turning around and saying your heated pond is not going to be better than mine. That's just dug in ground, not heated.
No.
Better.
That's a different discussion, right? More money, better environment. Number one, you've got to be able to have the real estate available to buy. That's next to impossible.
I think you talk about the breeder crafty, not your ponds here. Just talking about the breeder in Japan. If you've got the right environment and the money, you can do amazing things with the fish. Which is the top
don't they? If they're selling those fish,
it's big, right? And at 6, 10, 12 weeks old, and it's pucker. And I say, actually, I'm not going to stick it with 1,000 other fish. I'm going to stick it in there with 2 other fish, and keep the water at 30 degrees. Give it the best food. I will give it the best environment because I know that fish will command me 50 grand at 2 years old.
Yeah.
That's the payoff for the genetics, the whole process, isn't it? And that's what, to be fair, that's what the top end fish, that's what it is, isn't it? They are creating and have created almost unbelievably insane quality
A-class fish in an A-class environment.
Yeah.
And you can only get A-class fish in an A-class environment by having investment.
You can, but there's also weird aspects to it, to the fact that if you put a high quality fish in a shit environment, the fish will be shit.
Yeah, it'll be a shit fish.
But you can put.
You can't put a shit fish in a good environment and get a good fish, can you?
It will be amazing. So yeah, the environment, I think, is, from our point of view, more important than anything else. But you can't polish a turd. Well, you can, but
still going to resemble a turd.
You can only do what you can do. But yeah, I think
so. So if you had more money, okay, with the same environment that you've got now, does that mean that you're going to get a better environment?
If I had more money, yeah, I would, 100%, because I'd use more. Environment includes temperature in that environment and food in that environment, and they're two things that you can influence with money.
Does that change your market?
It would change our market as well, yeah. Of course it would.
It changes your place.
Do you think your market would change with the client and your price go up?
It would all, of course, it would all go up, wouldn't it? If I'm spending more money on food and more money on looking after the fish, then the end product's got to cost more money, isn't it?
Yeah, cost.
But
Can you market it more, or is the public's perspective is still an English koi?
Bit of both, isn't it? I'll never get the same money regardless, but I can still get more money if the fish is better.
But that would still be a hurdle in Weirick, though, wouldn't it?
Of course it is, but the difference is from when I've been doing it, the hurdle, that boundary is pushed and pushed and pushed already.
Yeah.
Massively. So I'm not saying we will ever, and there's no English farm we will never compete with the top end jack farms. Period. It's just not going to happen. But you can compete at the most from the bottom level all the way up to the top 90%. There's only the top 10% of people that are knowledgeable enough or willing enough or rich enough or whatever to be in that bracket. We all want to be up there. Of course we do. We all want fucking Ferraris and our summer house in LA and whatever. You can't
and a banana.
Yeah, but you can't afford it. So at the end of the day, if you don't want to spend 5 million quid on that banana on the wall, you've got to, what do you want from your hobby? I want a fish that's going to live and grow and look beautiful and develop to this point. It might not be as good as Sakai's fish or Dainichi's fish. That little last element, it might not quite make it, but it's still going to be pretty bloody amazing. And you can get most of the way there. And if there comes a point where you can't buy that from an English farm or every other Japanese farm, then you have to go to Sakai or Dainichi or wherever, get in an auction and spend fucking 15 grand on a Tozai that
developed into fuck all.
Which maintained to a bag of shit like my Dainichi did. It'd be good.
Once you get
15 grand, then, guys.
Against,
you know that was a silly question. That got 15 grand. Never mind, spend it.
But you are. Once you get to that top bit, you're not just fighting against hobbyists that are really well into it. You're fighting against the rich people that just are buying it as a kudos. What do they do? I'm going to buy a fish from this best koi farm in the world. What is it? Oh, well, I don't know. It's black and white. I don't know what it is. But my mate told me it's amazing and I'm going to spend 15 grand on it. You're fighting certain people that don't really care. They've just got more money than sense, haven't they? Oh, they've probably got a lot of sense. So you've got a lot of money, I don't know.
Better than the taxman having it, isn't it?
Marcus has shown what can be done with Rick's fish. I think the quality and the selection is already there. Or is there already.
Yeah, well, I know some idiots who spent stupid money for one particular fish.
Peer pressure, that's all that was.
Thanks. Crafty, for that
stupid.
Oh,
there was 2 noughts missing.
You broke up, unfortunately. I heard my name and that was about it. Go on, what did you say?
You broke up then, didn't it?
They said even Rick's got people spending stupid money on one particular fish. Thanks, Crafty.
And Ryan. I think Ryan might
have.
That was coming from Myoki. You put a couple more noughts on it and think you did well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it with Japan is more the fact of who they are and how well they're known throughout the world, aren't they? They're renowned for being that reputation of what they can produce. And
does the average koi keeper though need Dainichi, Sakai, Omasaka?
No, not at all. No. Do you know what? I mean, we'd all love to have a yellow monkey, but I tell you what, when the time comes, and I pick it up from Marcus and Lorraine and get that Ginrin Karashi guy and have it in my pond,
And it never grows again.
I'm never going to stop at that sizing. But even if it does, though, Rick, I'm still going to have a piece of fish in my pond that looks just like a Dainichi yellow monkey. All right, not identical, but it will be resembling it in its best possible way at a fraction of the price, mate.
Well, if you're not worried about one that looks identical but is a golden monkey, I got just a job for you, mate.
You've definitely got one that doesn't
You've
look
got golden monkey.
like
You might want to know where from, because the ones I've got are yellow monkeys.
It's got both of them have got the paperwork form as well. The one is so chocolate shag is unbelievable.
Not just chocolate shag, it's got more shimmies on it than a shimmy.
I know. And it was perfect when it came in. Two of them identical, male and female, just the job.
Well, what do you expect when you keep turning pumps off and pond half empty half the time and having power outages and shit? Poor fish, whether it's coming or going, you don't know whether it's a shag or a yellow monkey, does it?
Golden monkey.
Golden monkey, yellow monkey, whatever. All same shit.
That's the thing, though, isn't it?
Still a Ginrin Karashi guy, regardless to what they want to wrap it up in.
So Takano Sankey. All right, let's look at them. Okay. Some good ones out there. Some not so good ones out there. Carry a big price tag.
Yeah, but I'm not. What I don't get. He does such a small volume. He's such a small breeder that the reality is they shouldn't all carry a big price. They should be very much quality, not on name. So they shouldn't carry a big price tag. They should only carry a price tag if they're good.
So this season, I had access to 2 ponds and Tozai. The fish were 4 times that of where I could buy from an alternate dealer. And I was like, but how's that so? This guy's a small breeder, very small in consideration to other outlets. How are his fish? And the response, Sakai bloodline.
Yeah, but
I'm not buying Sakai. I'm buying Takano.
I'll bear that in mind when I start marketing the Welsh Dragons. I'll be on that bad boy.
This is my point, mate. It's like, as marketing there, because.
But he is such a small breeder that at the end of the day, suddenly, if you've got 2 or 3 people wanting his fish, the demand's gone like, isn't it? So there's demand.
It's not the fact that there's people wanting them, mate. It's just the price that you put on them.
Blame Lee.
Did he put that price in, Crafty, because he had to buy the stock line to get that? So therefore, what he's produced cost him more.
No, he's been doing that for years. He's had those. He's been doing the same fish for quite a while.
So he's just spinning it with a different.
Yeah, it's like and it wasn't. There was no availability to take 50 fish out of his pond. It was all or nothing. And normally the price comes down when you buy a pond because you're literally taking everything. So therefore leaving him with nothing. And if I was to pick, then the price would normally go up to the price that you buy from having an unpicked pond. So from that, not only are you paying premium for his good fish, which is fine if you was to sit and sift them, right? Then I understand that you should pay a premium because you're leaving him with the harder sales. If you buy the pond, you should pay a quarter of the price.
Yeah, it's generally
the best as well as the good.
I would say it was like everything, dealer hype.
It's not just dealer hype, is it? It's not troubles in Japan. You got middlemen. There's so much going on, isn't there?
Yeah, there is an element of dealer hype, though. There is. And I'm a dealer.
Next year, all of them.
But that's nature, isn't it? If you had two cars that were identical, one was called a Ferrari and one was called something else, but they were identical, then people would be going for the Ferrari if they could afford it.
Yeah.
Not if they're identical. Okay. For the cheap one.
If you could afford it, you would be.
You just said there was a cheap one.
Yeah, but they're identical and you can afford it. I bet you any money, Rick, you would be buying a Ferrari.
No is the answer.
No.
I'd never get up your track with it, would I?
Rick, isn't the Welsh Dragon red?
It is, yeah.
Mersanki's art red. There might be a slight technical loop in your.
Actually, look at the Welsh flag. It's a red,
red,
black,
and white.
with a black
Welsh
outline
dragon
and
is
a white
orange
background.
right now. Red, black, and white, mate.
Don't it have green on it as well?
Somewhere,
No.
you can just
Might
say,
do.
Yeah, we just put some blanket weed over it.
The Welsh dragon is definitely red, black, and white. I don't know, mate. I'm making this up as I go along.
Yeah, you are, aren't you?
Wait to see you may see him in New Line of Puff to Pandas.
Of what?
Puff to Pandas for the pink pound. It's a tongue twister. But yeah, they're nice. That's not the dragon I'm using, Seska. That's got the green. That's the flag. I'm
Of course
using
it's
the
got
flag.
green. This house has got bloody green in it.
no, that's
That's
the
the
flag.
flag. I'm not using the flag.
Can't breed fish with a flag,
Welsh
can you? Can't
dragon,
cross a fish with a
Nothing
flag.
to do with the bloody Welsh dragon.
But the Welsh dragon's just a red and black dragon.
But he's standing on the grass. You got to.
But he didn't say the Welsh flag.
You're splitting hairs now.
No, I'm not.
Well, if it's not on the Welsh flag, it's just a red dragon, isn't it? It's not even Welsh.
Let's have a look at it.
Is my head that shiny?
Yeah.
Sorry,
It's been
guys.
dazzling me all night, especially when you've been looking down like that.
Take that off. I don't see it because my eyes are shit. I put them on. I was just like, "Fuck me, that shiny." And that's sorry, guys.
Dazzle dip your forehead.
Fucking proper shining four fingers.
You're not going home tonight, Crafty? Are you staying in the office?
Yeah, I didn't realise the time actually. It's like I am in no rush.
Might as well stay there now, mate.
I'll still go home.
I like the way you've got a golf course behind you to make sure you know your way around it.
That completed it, mate.
Has that got all the cheats in it?
No, that's the schematic that we use, but then we put all the electrical cables and drainage in, and don't want to bore you with the place. This is golf course.
But Crafty, did they sell? If someone overprices them, they get seen in the end, and will get seen for that. E.g., Ryan only just going back to the breeder this year. Can't remember the name that he's skipped previous years.
Yeah, I mean it's a good question. It's like, did they sell? Yeah, did they sell for the money they should have? No, is the answer. Well, not all of them. The reason why you don't always go back to the same breeder is because breeders have different results years on years. Like Rick would, some years will be a hell of a lot better than others. This year's been a good year for a majority, but Marihiro, for example, normally you'd be able to dip your net in any of his fish ponds and pull out banger after banger. This year we have to be a lot more selective because not all of his fish were cut in the mustard. The same with, I think it was Miyatora. His fish, don't know what happened. I think it was Miyatora. Again, normally you'd fill your ponds up full of his stuff because it was banging. This year it was really hard to get a box out of his harvest, and that's the way it goes. So it's not always year on year. You've got to look at what's best in Japan, what is priced at the right price. There were some fish that were banging that were were probably twice as much as what they really should have been, and that stopped the sale. You have to push back as hard as they push you to buy because they've had a good season. When actually you end up with the money that you spend this year, we're actually worse off on the basis that we could only get potentially mainly 3 fish to a box, where last year it could have been 4 or 5. So we've actually got reduced stock because the fish are bigger. Bigger fish are also harder to sell, which means that you get less harder to sell. So from a business perspective,
isn't that a little bit them manipulating the market as well, though, Crafter? Because the fish have grown bigger, or well, we can't get so much. I mean, why couldn't the dealer absorb some of that cost? Because he's made more from his fish.
Because we don't make, we have to.
No, I don't mean dealer. Sorry, the breeder. Sorry.
They do, mate, but they dictate the market, don't they? Because their fish.
Well, no, they don't dictate the market. Who's the consumer dictate the market? Because if we didn't consume, they wouldn't have a market.
Not really. Don't work like that, guys. Out there, mate, when their fish are good, they know they're worth money. And if you're not prepared to pay,
they're only worth money if people
there's only so many fish, right? That's why when you look at the Nissan market, there's 4 weeks in that year where you can buy the cream of the crop. Yeah, in February when we go out, there's still Nissan available, right? But they've been picked through.
Yeah.
And only if you strike lucky where some of the fish are developed a little bit better in the concrete ponds, that you then pick them fish out and they're good fish, but they won't be the price that you pay during the Nissan season. And because there's only a certain amount of fish available, and we're competing, the UK are competing with all the other countries in the world, right? If you don't buy them at the price they want, I guarantee Asia will come up and sweep them. And that's exactly what happens, man. So they do dictate who buys them.
And likewise, Crafty, in February, the fish that potentially would be sold now, this time of year or a month ago, they're going to be cheaper than what they were.
Yeah, they will be, but they're not going to be. They're not going to be the cream of the crop, man.
No, they're not. They're definitely not going to be the cream of the crop. But you're not going to be, say, a retail price of £700 each. They're going to be a retail price of £300 a piece. Yep. So it's down to the budget of the individual buying the fish. The price point for them.
If you haven't got the quality, you're stuck with a fish, mate, haven't you? Because when you're getting more of a B grade than a double A grade, again, it makes it a harder sell even at the price point that you say, because people will still be quite on that.
I think if the price is right for the fish that you're selling, the quality, yes, I totally get what you're saying. If you try to sell a fish at £700 when it technically really is only a £350 fish, you're going to be stuck with it. But if you've been out there in February and we brought a whole load of fish and we're bringing them back and they're £300 a piece, then really, there's not everybody out there that can afford to buy a £700 fish, and you're potentially going to sell 3 fish at £350 and what you would do.
Yeah. For me though, right. So not all fish come in at that price, but the fish that you really needed to buy, because they had such a good growing season out there, Matt, they was all of size. So you still stuck at only being able to put 3 in a box, whether you was paying a retail price like at retail £700 a fish or £300 a fish. You were still only getting 3 in a box because of the size. And then you put your shipping costs on top, etc. It's still going to bump the price up, so you're still getting less for your money.
How many would you have got in a box? Let's say if the average fish that was coming out at Nissan was 45 cm.
Yeah, 3.
So you get 3 in a box, right? How many fish would you get in a box if the average size was 35 cm?
So I would probably look at 7 to 8.
And now that's completely utter horseshit, then, isn't it? Because you can get.
It's not.
No. If you can get 7 or 8 35 cm fish, but only get 3 45 cm fish, How's that even work if you do math?
Just length, guys. It goes on volume.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? Massively different weight.
Yeah.
A 30 centimetre fish and a 40 centimetre fish is double. It's all double the weight.
So weights, it's more about the weight of it rather than the overall sea image.
Yeah,
it's not to do with length, is it? It's to do with body mass.
Well, if you I don't know if you can get
and a chipping this size is really what we're talking about, aren't we? So, are we going to not get the same growth rate potentially from a chibi to a normal Nisai once it's been taken out of the environment that's being competed for food for growth? Could you not see?
You're already behind, aren't you? So I've got I can't remember 30 or 40 chibi Nisai that I've just bought in. They are already miles behind the ones that we pay better money for that are bigger fish. They're miles behind. They're going to get the growth rate. They've got to catch up to that, and that in itself over here is going to be a hard task.
Yeah, but it comes down to people's ponds and stuff, doesn't it? So
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to pay, like I say, £1,000 for a 50 centimetre Nisai or 150 quid for a jibby Nisai? This one's going to grow. It'll grow to 50 centimetres. This one's going to grow to 75 centimetres.
Yeah. It's what Vicky said earlier on. It's environment and the money.
It's balance.
Yeah. So it's
there's a market for all of it. That's the whole point. There's a market for all of it, and different farms grow to suit different environments. You don't all grow big. If you want to have the best fish in the country, you've got to be going out there when they're harvesting the best fish and pay top dollar.
Yeah, I mean the chibi Nisai, I mean they're retailing here at £200 a piece, but you know what was good with that is getting in first and pulling out the ones that are worthy of, you know, chibi Nisai in February will still be at that same price point, but you're gonna get probably 30% less chance of what I had by picking out all the best that was available at the time of that pond being emptied. You know, you're still going to get like your Marihiro that will constantly stock the ponds all the way through that. So you're still going to have that opportunity. But you go to Otsuka, you have got, you know, is done. So going to Otsuka in February, you're still going to get chance for Nisai and chibi Nisai, but they're not all going to be the quality that you would have received if you'd done that during the harvest of Nisai. Because
those ones that you've harvested now and paid, and they've got a retail price, say, of £1,000.
It wasn't everywhere, Matt. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So when we all go back in February, it's still going to be the opportunity, because I bought some fucking cracking fish last February.
That's if you get in, mate. Because I'm right.
Gaz is definitely saving up his money.
I'm going to be ringing airports and just letting them know when you're traveling.
Funny enough, when I went over to Guernsey and I went through security, all the alarms went off.
And
they thought I had
this time too, mate. Rubber gloves.
It was explosives that they picked up on.
Again.
Again.
Yeah, again.
So going back to what you're saying, there's still going to be them fish there, Matt, but you're going to have to work harder to find them, mate. Right, and you also got to be fairly lucky. I mean, some of the fish I picked out this February, absolutely insane. The Akamatsuba and some of the Asagi, you know, slightly lucky on, if I'm honest. Some of the others, based on what I'm seeing now, you know, probably fell foul a little bit on quality against what was available in February to what's available now. They're going to potentially be a different ball game. Honestly, you'll see it when you go out there, mate. It's like this side.
The thing is, it's a live hunt and it's live stuff. At the end of the day, it's never the same.
No, that's right.
That's why people have to be out there.
You know, and you'll see this even with Tozai, mate. You know, not just Nisai. When you see Tozai in February, you will go back to the same farm probably 3 or 4 times during your stay.
To see different fish.
Mate, there's like Sekaguchi, for instance. I went there, looked at some of his ponds, mate. I was like, no, you're all right. Went back 2 days later, fucking 2 ponds absolutely heaving with banging fish. You know, but if I didn't go back there weren't nothing worth buying.
And everywhere was the same. Ricky's a prime one for that. You go up there and have a look around. No, that's the best of the best of the best of the best. Look at him turning away, best of the best. And then when I mentioned to him after like the fish that I bought from him, well, I've got about another 3 or 4 of them out the back. I'm like, you fucker! I was supposed to be in the best.
The best of the best that was available.
Be prepared for that in Japan, mate, because that is just textbook of what Japan's like. And I'll give you NND, for example. In order to get access to his best fish, I had to fork out thousands. And then all of a sudden it's like, do you want to have a look at these? And then you look and you just go, fuck me, man. I've just spent all that and now you're showing me this. And you can't walk away from them because they're that good.
Is that because you was a new client?
No.
That's just sales, isn't it, guys? It's the same.
Well, for me, that would have been, see you later, mate. Ta-da.
But you can't, guys, because you know
you can.
You can, but honest to God, mate, when you got like Pete says to me, my boss, he says to me, he sits there singing, Anthony's got a koi pipe buying problem. Anthony's got a koi buying problem, especially when you spend 110% over your budget, you know, and he says you've got a fucking problem.
Only 10% of your budget. Jesus.
Yeah, that was some difficult conversations when I come back from Japan. I ain't gonna lie, but you know.
Technically, then, Crafty, for you, offer any deal that imports fish, you don't really want them to have a good growing season. As good as what they have this year.
The Nisai.
Yeah,
not for the Nisai.
The Nisai like they have this time. Because the difference that's cost you in shipping stuff to get over here means you can you're bringing less in, but you're going to charge more. And you know most people that walk around in UK ain't going to want to shell out as much as that, and you could end up with fish.
No, but you've got to work it backwards, mate. Like from my position, it's like what price point do I want in the shop, right? So when these fish get dropped in front of you, and I promise you, mate, it's hard to say no. And then when they show you the price, you're like, right, okay, how many in a box? That many. Fucking hell, add that on, blah. Start working backwards. Well, that works out at that price point. That takes me over my price point by £200 a fish, like for sale. No, you've got to say no, right? But then they'll show you another, and it'll be at the right price point. So they know what they're doing. They're trying to squeeze you for a little bit more. So then when you buy, let's say, 14, 15 Nisai, then all of a sudden there's a fucking another pond and say, oh, we just harvested this one, and they're even better, right? And then you're like, right, I need that price point as well. But because people whip them up so fast, you know, you're sort of pressured into whether to make that decision there and then, because you know if you don't say yes, you ain't going back to that fish and getting it after you've seen what other breeders have got, because by the time you go back, someone else has had it.
I've got an idea then, right? You look at the fish and then you turn away for 30 seconds and I'll just say, yeah, we'll have them all, right? Pete can't be pissed at you because I said we'd have them all, but I don't get bothered because I don't work there. How about that for a combo?
It's not
I reckon the best one, Gaz, is that you guys go over the week before, you look at the fish, they turn around and say they're 100 quid each. You go, fuck me, they ain't worth that, they're worth 50 quid. We go in the week after and offer 75, we got a fucking bargain. You come back with nothing and we got too many.
Or you scumbag, you're trying to nick my customers or what?
We're going in cheapskates.
Yeah. Mate, there's going to be plenty for when you're there, Matt. Honest, there's fucking loads. Toes high, anyway.
There'll be no left, Matt. I'm going to ask them if they don't sell them to us to put them back in mud ponds.
Yeah, there'll only be the ones left with one fin and
Matt from Howie Coy's coming. He wants to know if you want a few boxes. Yeah, what are you going to trade off with Boxwell liners and say, look, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll do your rate deal. 100 box well liners for 100 box of fish. How about that?
No, I'm gonna give them some
Ask
second
him if they want some of those polytunnels to go over the ponds for winter. They can go all year round. What about that? Set them up with a deal.
I'll tell you one of the things, mate. It's like I'm going to be slowed down somewhat this year. I'm very aware of that because obviously I'm going to have an entourage that are going to be wanting to be involved, and they will naturally slow you down because they're going to ask questions. They're going to be umming and ahhing. Right? I'm prepared for that. But the speed that you have to work through.
Rick doesn't do speed. He is the most laid back fucker I know.
You're going out for you, mate. Your shop, right?
I know. But just being in the company of Rick, I'm just going to be going whatever.
You know, you go down to a future, for instance, right? And you start picking through his tozai. There's 3,000 fish in a pond. You're gonna sift through 3,000 fish. You're then going to fill up 5 or 6 bowls full of fish, and then you're going to sift through each one of them bowls again, right? And then you're going to sift through the pick again until you get down to the quantity that you want to take away. All right?
What are you going to be doing, Daz? I'm going to be going around peeling off all the Hadfield stickers.
Yeah.
But I'll guarantee you, I'll get you involved anyway. But
I'll tell you what,
I'll
do a deal as long as you keep it. Everyone you pull off,
Easy.
I donate.
well,
I'm not doing that. I don't want cheap coin that much, mate. I'm not doing none of that.
No,
Mate, I'll tell you now. It won't.
donation.
Ryan, mate, when he goes round with you, so he obviously goes first, then I'll follow on, then you follow, all right? But when we go into the fish houses, there's so many fucking tozai available, mate. You can walk over some in some places. It's like a fucking carpet of fish. You could just dive on them and you wouldn't sink, right?
Mine are all going to be in a specialist net, just in back room.
But Ryan, mate, when we was out there in February, when most dealers, he'd say, "Don't do that pond, don't do that pond." I was like, why? It's like, I've already done them. It's like, right, okay, that, and that. Now, you don't know who else has been through them ponds, but you know Ryan's not been through them, right? So there's an advantage there, right? So, you know, and he'll do the same for you, mate, I promise. I know what his mentality is like.
I've got every faith in the little wee man.
Mate, you'll have a belt, mate. I can't wait to go in Feb, mate. But if I'm honest, Tozai is better than this side. Tozai shopping.
Tozai shopping. You make it sound bad. Don't call it shopping.
Hence why this polytunnel is going to be up in time.
Is it? You haven't got it? Or lights?
Well, I have, because I've got a stand-in. It's going to cost me again, but I have got a stand-in that'll get it done.
You're going to have a stand-in? What, is that in case you have a bad head in the morning when you're being out on ale all night?
No.
So by on your behalf.
So what I did was found the company I wanted to deal with. He was problematic. He resolved all the issues. He gave me what I wanted to hear, blah, blah, blah. But he was working in meters. So I've built my base in meters. I've got the builders to come and do the block work all in meters. So I've got 10 centimeters all the way around all of the ponds to put in the polytunnel. But
why have you done 10 centimeters if you not give yourself enough room to maneuver around them?
No, that's straight
going in deep.
But everybody else in the UK that manufacture polytunnels do it in feet. 8 feet, 10 feet, 12 feet, 14 feet, 16 feet. If I go now, all my brickwork is done, and I go to the nearest foot, I'm either too small that my block work and my ponds is going to be outside of the polytunnel frame, or if I go too big, I'm going to be off the concrete base.
Matt, do you remember earlier on we were talking about a business deal about making the... I'm out.
I get what you're saying, Matt. Right, but I think you're being a little bit meticulous, mate. Fucking hell, man! Just put a bigger polytunnel over.
Oh, if you only have to go a foot bigger than your metric equivalent to get.
Yeah, But I'm literally 10 centimetres inside the polytunnel, 10 centimetres out of the polytunnel. So whichever way I
Better to
go,
be inside, isn't it? Go bigger.
yeah.
Be inside it.
Can't you just bend the polytunnel out a bit?
I hope he's frozen because that's a good
You
move.
just got a thumbs up.
He's in shock. He's just realised it's going to cost him an extra £2,000. Hey, you got the fireworks again. Gazza's lying den, 100%, mate.
Gaz, we've been on for 4
Like
hours.
that all day long. We're getting out done.
Sign off, Gaz. It's 4 hours, man.
Could you imagine, right? You
back.
said, Gaz, there's not a single question to talk about tonight.
I know. Imagine if we had some, we'd have been like,
Not a single question. And 4 hours later,
and we're still here.
Still waffling.
poor old Daz is like, oh, for fuck's sake, I've been away for a whole month.
I don't want to get to bed.
Daz,
So your own work, Gaz.
you're welcome to leave if you're tired. You're well, but we are
I'm
going to be
leaving.
following you right behind you.
Your homework, Gaz, is how many gin types there are.
How many what?
Gin types.
Types of gin. Okay, up.
4.
I shall Google that and research it. Anyway, guys, as we've all just been reminded that we're about to turn into pumpkins, usual thing. If you've been enjoying this mad craziness, yeah, that's what I want to know, Rob. How is Rob going to do a 24-hour live when he struggles with 4? Like, share, subscribe.
20.
Tell a friend.
I'll send this over for you.
Sending some dragon soup.
Yeah, that'll really keep me awake.
Keep smiling, Al. We'll catch you on the next one. Good night, Al.
I'll be lucky to last 4 minutes after drinking one of them.
You will. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Goodbye, cricket bat.
Are we going?